Chapter 160. At the base in the middle of the island. Little Xia, have you seen the hidden dragon list? It was a white-haired old man who was talking. He was smiling and looked very kind. He was Jiang Wufeng, the owner of the floating element island and the head of the merchant union. Yes, island owner Jiang. Xia Rufeng smiled. He was the only one who knew Lin Feng's background on the entire floating element island. Being ranked 30th was just a small test. In the second half of the year, Lin Feng would definitely make it to the top 10. The newcomer Lin Feng you recommended is not bad. Jiang Wufeng squinted. Have you checked his background? Nothing suspicious, Xia Rufeng said. Very good. Jiang Wufeng nodded with satisfaction. Such a good seedling must be cultivated well. Maybe he is the most likely person to reach the Sea King level after Little Yi. The Merchant Union is in danger now. We need a Sea King level powerhouse who can really carry the flag. I will, island owner Jiang, Xia Rufeng said. Well, you may leave. Jiang Wufeng waved his hand. Xia Rufeng left immediately. He didn't want to expose Lin Feng's identity for the time being. Jiang Wufeng turned on the micro-video projection. Whoosh! The image was projected inside the cockpit of the fighter jet. An imposing man smiled. Elder Jiang. Little Yi, where are you going? Jiang Wufeng squinted. It was Yi Fan, the head of the merchant union. He was the previous newcomer record holder on the floating element island. He was also the most promising person to reach the Sea King level in the elemental merchant union. Mount Zhongnan, Mount Qinling, Yi Fan said. Oh! Jiang Wufeng chuckled. You are going there too? I will try my luck. Yi Fan chuckled. Elder Jiang, you know that I've been stuck at the high level of the Savage Lands for a long time. This time, the Qinling Mountains might have unearthed a rare treasure, which caused such a big change. If I can obtain it, perhaps I can break through the bottleneck and become a Sea King. Jiang Wufeng praised him. Young people should be motivated. With your strength, safety is not a problem. But the treasure is said to be in Mount Taibai? Yi Fan chuckled. Because everyone is going to Mount Taibai, I chose Mount Zhongnan, which has fewer people. Good luck! Jiang Wufeng narrowed his eyes and smiled. I have something to tell you. Your rookie record on the floating elemental island has been broken. Oh! Yi Fan was curious. A young man called Lin Feng. He's 18 years old and he's a beginner martial venerable. TSK. Yi Fan sighed. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Suddenly, I feel like I've aged. Jiang Wufeng laughed out loud. If you call me old, what should I do? The two looked at each other and smiled. Jiang Wufeng had been stationed on the floating elemental islands for many years. He was highly respected in the Elemental Commerce Alliance and had a good relationship with the other alliance leaders. The ancient ruins of West Lake. One mountain, two pagodas. A lone mountain. The two pagodas were the Leifeng Pagoda and the Bao Pagoda. Only the top 100 can enter the two pagodas. Those who rank in the top 50 will not only be able to enter the two pagodas, but will also be able to enter the lone mountain. Every time you rise in rank, the time will increase slightly. Lin Feng looked at the reward carefully. Ranked 30, they could enter Lonely Mountain for 4 hours. The two towers each had 48 hours. Ranked 0, they could enter Lonely Mountain for 48 hours. The two pagodas each had 96 hours. 10 rankings, a big change. There are only 2 days left. I'll try my best to improve as much as I can. Goal. Rank 0. Lin Feng began to sprint. He did not go hunting again because it was difficult to increase his hunting points. The top 30 were all hunting in the West Lake world and had 80 to 90 hunting points. 2 days was not enough to close the gap. Titanium Heart. Third stage of Spirit Essence. Lin Feng's goal was very clear. Cultivate the fourth stage of the 9 Dragons Scripture and soak in the gene fluid. While increasing his brain expanse, It also nourished and strengthened the only martial spirit that was not at the third stage. Spirit essence. Again and again. Again and again. In his body, the spirit essence continued to absorb nutrients and grow. It took him nearly 2 days to go from the second stage to the third stage. When his brain expanse was close to 3%, he finally broke through. Feeling the power of the titanium heart, Lin Feng smiled slightly. He was not just a beginner martial venerable now. He was also a beginner martial venerable. There were only 6 hours left before the points were calculated. Earth's core base, nightfall. More than 70% of the experts on the floating elemental island were gathered at the open-air bar, chatting and laughing. There were only 6 hours left. It was like the last 5 minutes of a football match. Their rankings had already been decided, and it would be very difficult to change them. But many of the top 100 were still changing slightly. The higher the points, the more likely it was that a small improvement would bring about a large jump in the rankings. Cheers. Drink. Let's drink until we're drunk tonight. The atmosphere was cheerful. They drank wine and ate meat in big mouthfuls. On the giant screen at the open-air bar, the top 100 experts were listed. The most eye-catching one was undoubtedly Lin Feng, the super newcomer of the 3rd district. After 2 consecutive days of stagnation, Lin Feng had slipped from 30th to 3rd place. Do you think this monster can still enter the top 30? I don't know. Everyone is in the combat strength testing space now. The probability of improvement is the same. Basically, the top 3, no, the top 10 are not likely to change. The top 20 are basically stable. There may be some small changes between 21st and 50th place. But no matter what, Lin Feng has created a new record. 3rd place is something to look up to. While talking, there was a sudden gasp. He's back to 30th place. Damn, Lin Feng can still improve? Look. 9th place. 7th place. 5th place. The speed of improvement was extremely shocking. Basically, there would be a change every few minutes. Everyone looked at it with their mouths agape. In just half an hour, Lin Feng had reached 1st place in the points ranking. Points, 597098. Did it stop? The pause this time was very long. A full 15 minutes. Bang. It was like a muffled thunder. Everyone's expression changed. 19th place. Lin Feng suddenly entered the top 20. Like a hot knife through butter. 18th place. 17th place. 15th place. The shouting voice was a little hoarse. Lin Feng's points finally stopped at the same place. The shocking ranking was unbelievable. In the first month, a newcomer was actually ranked 15th in the Hidden Dragon list. This result was enough to be called a miracle on the floating elemental island. Would the miracle continue? Everyone opened their eyes wide and waited patiently. Time, hour after hour passed. Lin Feng's ranking slipped from 15th to 16th. There was only half an hour left before the end time. Then, in this short half an hour, Lin Feng improved again. 4th update. To be continued. Chapter 161. 15th place. 14th place. Boom. Like a thunderclap. Lin Feng's ranking changed again. 13th place. Battle points. 657411. At the open-air bar, everyone was deeply shocked. Although there was still a huge gap between him and the top 3, especially Huang Tian, who had more than 900,000 points, Lin Feng was a newcomer after all, a newcomer who had only been on the floating island for a month. Such a result was enough to make all the elite geniuses blush with shame. Am I seeing things? This guy is definitely a monster. 13th place, what a terrifying result. At this moment, everyone was talking about the same topic. The genius newcomer, Lin Feng. In the combat strength testing space. I still failed. Lin Feng shook his head. He had broken his wings at the 110th level 3 times in a row. Compared to the 109th level, the difficulty had increased by 50%. 10 levels was a threshold. He was already very satisfied to be able to raise his score by 20 levels this time. Good luck. Lin Feng walked out of the battle space. The titanium heart of essence had been upgraded to the 3rd stage, allowing him to smoothly break through from the 90th level to the 99th level. Although there were obstacles at the 100th level after the 3rd lucky break, he broke through 3 levels to the 104th level. After that, he thought it would end like this, but he didn't expect that he would continue to hone his body in the West Lake world. Suddenly, it was a matter of course. He comprehended. From proficiency to perfection. A qualitative leap, just like the perfection of the blade intent. Combined with the 1st level of the super heavy titanium region, he finally passed all the levels. He passed 6 levels in a row and barely broke through the 109th level. 13th place? Lin Feng was also surprised. Looking at the time, there were only 10 minutes left before the end. It's so close to the 14th place. Only 80 points difference. What a dangerous distance. Lin Feng murmured softly. The rewards for the 13th and 14th place were very different. Yes, I forgot about physical fitness. Lin Feng smiled and walked to the 3rd floor. His points were still from 20 days ago. Now there was naturally an improvement, although it was only a small improvement. But it should not be a problem to maintain the 13th place. The island base. The island master Jiang Wufeng and the 3 business alliance envoys were all staring at the hidden dragon rank. The 4 of them were shocked. Including Xia Rufeng, no one had expected Lin Feng to have such a ferocious latent strength. He actually shot up to 13th place all of a sudden. How long until it ends? Jiang Wufeng asked. 5 minutes. The only female business alliance envoy, Emo Qingli, said softly. Whoosh. The hidden dragon rank changed again. 14th place. Before his voice fell, in an instant, whoosh, almost instantly, another change occurred. Lin Feng returned to 13th place. The 12th place. 11th place. Dang. Almost instantly, the hidden dragon leaderboard shone brightly. At the same time, it was the 1st of July. The dust of the hidden dragon ranking for the first half of the year had settled, and the ranking had ended. 1. Number 100108. Huang Tian, 909, 7295 points. 2. Number 096300, Brahmin? Cass. Total points, 815640. 3. Number 098001, Yang Qingjian. Total points, 8132. 10. Number 102100, Lin Feng. Total points, 686933. 10th place. Lin Feng finally completed the retest of his physical fitness. In the past 20 days, his mind expanse had increased. The enhancement of the gene fluid and the meager energy absorption of the West Lake world. Now, his physical fitness had naturally improved compared to 20 days ago. Speed from 9. 5. Physical strength from 10. 0 from 10. 3 from 29. 92. Total points had increased by 3 points. It wasn't that his physical strength had increased greatly. It was just that the method of calculating points was different. The lowest standard was the savage level. The more points one exceeded the savage level, the higher the point. This was because the floating elemental island used the priority nurturing system. The stronger the potential, the more resources. 20th place, can enter Lonely Mountain for 48 hours. 2 towers, 96 hours each. 10th place, can enter Lonely Mountain for 96 hours. 2 towers, 192 hours each. Lin Feng walked down the stairs. He had a smile on his face and was very satisfied. The 10th place, compared to the 20th place, had double the reward. He glanced at the crystal watch on his left hand. Some of his friends in the 3rd district, including Sister Kiyun and Brother Li, had sent him messages to congratulate him. Of course, what warmed his heart the most was, while Lin Feng opened the door. In front of him was an extremely beautiful face, with a sweet smile that intoxicated him. "Congratulations, big brother Lin." Ling was like a happy little bird, happily pouncing on him. "Thank you." Lin Feng's face was full of smiles. Their hearts were close to each other. They could feel each other's breathing and heartbeat. At this moment, there was no need for too many words. They hugged each other tightly. Lin Feng kissed that soft and tender face, feeling Ling Er's boiling temperature, and whispered shyly. Gently holding that little face that was like a masterpiece from heaven, Lin Feng looked at that shy and tightly closed eyes, trembling eyelashes, and couldn't help but kiss it. Their fiery breaths blended together, and their hearts were in perfect harmony. Love was so sweet, amazing the world with a single brilliant feat. Lin Feng's outburst shocked the entire floating elemental island. 1 month, 10th place. This kind of result was really unbelievable. Brahmin, the strong man from India who originally had designs on Lin Feng, was shocked. Cass had long since given up. As long as one wasn't stupid, one would know that such a super genius was already the treasure of the Elemental Commerce Alliance. Rather than offending him, it was better to curry favor with him. 2 million gold coins was a sky-high price for a martial honorable, but for a savage-level expert, how? The calmest person was Lin Feng himself. To Lin Feng, the ranking of the Hidden Dragon rank was only about the ancient ruins and nothing else. He did not care about the fame and reputation, the safety of his family, the improvement of his strength, and the company of Ling Er. This made Lin Feng very satisfied. However, he would not stop because of this. Often, there are too many geniuses in this world. You should thank them. It's because they don't work hard that we mortals can create miracles. Big Brother's words often echoed in Lin Feng's mind, firmly rooted in his heart. He still had a lot of things to do. Become stronger. Only by constantly becoming stronger. Only then could he control his own destiny, protect his family, protect the people around him, and save Big Brother. And even fight against the Shang dynasty. Early morning of July 1st. Whoosh, Lin Feng stepped out of the gene nutrition cabin. His body was completely saturated and full of energy. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. At 7 o'clock sharp, he would embark on a new journey. The ancient ruins of West Lake. In total, 432 hours. Chapter 162. In the middle of the island. The first batch of people to enter the Lonely Mountain were the top 10 on the Hidden Dragon ranking. Entering through a special tunnel in the middle of the island, Lin Feng soon saw Huang Tian, who was ranked first, and Brahmin, who was ranked second. Cass, Yang Qinjian, who was ranked third, and Qin Qiyun, who was also from the Qin Huang domain, was the one he was most familiar with. "I didn't expect to see you on the first day." Qin Qiyun's beautiful eyes sparkled with a smile. "I didn't expect it either." Lin Feng smiled. Compared to the strong hostility of the others, Sister Qiyun was the friendliest. Everyone entered the tunnel one by one. "Remember, try your best to cultivate in the beginning." Qin Qiyun's voice was very soft. "I understand." Lin Feng nodded and felt warm. After cultivating in the Qin Huang mausoleum, he knew very well that the energy of the relics was limited, especially the ancient relics of West Lake. It opened once every half a year for 3 months. The remaining 3 months were used to replenish the energy of the relics, including spending a lot of money to buy elemental crystals. Therefore, the energy of the relics would decrease as time passed, and the speed of cultivation would be greatly reduced in the later stages. Soon after Qin Qiyun entered the tunnel, it was Lin Feng's turn. "It's time to fight for the energy of the relics again." Lin Feng smiled and entered the portal. He was familiar with it. Whoosh! After a short teleportation, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. This was a small peninsula in the middle of the lake, surrounded by blue waves. The mountain was lush with flowers and trees, and the fragrance was pleasant. The most special thing was the land on the island. It was condensed with strong energy, which kept surging from the bottom of the feet to the heart. It was a kind of energy that was completely different from the energy of heaven and earth. The energy of the relics. It's similar to the Qin Huang Mausoleum. Lin Feng looked around. The energy of the relics of the Qin Huang Mausoleum was as pure as steel from top to bottom. The energy of the relics of West Lake was like rivers flowing to the sea, gathered by the world of West Lake. Lin Feng jumped lightly and landed on a small hill. He glanced around the entire lonely mountain. In groups of 3. It was like a triangle located in the middle of the island. There. Is this where the energy of the relic is the strongest? Lin Feng thought to himself as he disappeared. As a newcomer, it was better to go with the flow. Dong. The capsule alloy house fell. Lin Feng didn't stand on ceremony and went straight to Huang Tian's alloy house. He was the other super genius of the floating elemental island. Beside the yellow sky was the Indian expert Brahmin. Caste. From the placement of the capsule alloy houses, it was obvious that there was an order to them, but Lin Feng did not care. So what if he offended the 2 of them? He was only ranked 10th. Including the basic time, he could only stay in Lonely Mountain for 6 days. Who? Lin Feng sat down cross-legged. The 4th layer of the 9 dragons scripture was operated to its limit. 4 giant dragons spiraled up and roared. Lin Feng began to cultivate. The first day. The next day. On the 3rd day. Pa. Opening his eyes, Huang Tian frowned. Was it an illusion? The remnant energy this time is much less than half a year ago. Maybe there are too many people entering Leifeng Pagoda and Guardian Pagoda. Huang Tian murmured. Or maybe the remnant energy replenishment by the Merchant Alliance has decreased? Gently breathing in and out, Huang Tian saw Lin Feng through the transparent window of the capsule alloy house. A bright light flashed past. A super rookie? You can't catch up to me. I will definitely break through to the savage level within 3 months. Once again, he focused his mind. Huang Tian quickly continued to cultivate. Compared to the others, he had the most time to cultivate in Lonely Mountain. 3%, 33%, 34%. Lin Feng's mind expanse kept increasing. He cultivated the titanium heart and the 4th layer of the 9 dragons scripture simultaneously. 6 days here was more efficient than a month in the outside world. On the 6th day in Lonely Mountain, Lin Feng's mind expanse had exceeded 34%. At this time, there were a total of 50 elite geniuses on Lonely Mountain. The top 50 geniuses entered one after another. The energy absorption efficiency of Lonely Mountain's ruins was more than 3 times that of Leifeng Pagoda and Baoling Pagoda. Lin Feng was lucky and managed to squeeze into the first batch of the Hidden Dragon Rankings top 10. The 10th and 11th place. The difference in absorption efficiency was several times. The first day was the most important. It's only the first day here, but it's comparable to the average absorption speed of the Qin Emperor's mausoleum. After that, it weakened too quickly. Lin Feng secretly rejoiced. If he entered on the 2nd day, he would have suffered a great loss. It was already the 6th day, and his absorption speed was less than 1/10 of the first day. The top 50 geniuses on the Hidden Dragon ranking have basically awakened the innate spirit and the spirit of Earth. Absorption efficiency. Naturally, it's amazing. Even so, Lin Feng was already very satisfied. Over the past 6 days, his soul of the Earth had risen from 80% to 95% of the 3rd stage. Although it couldn't be compared to the Qin Emperor's mausoleum, the effect was still quite amazing. If he were to cultivate the spirit chi with the 4th layer of the 9 dragons scripture, it would probably take more than half a year. Moreover, his mind expanse increased at an extremely fast speed. The improvement speed is comparable to a month in the outside world. Unfortunately, it's only 6 days. The 7th day. Lin Feng left Lonely Mountain and entered Leifeng Pagoda. The 2 pagodas were slightly different. Compared to the pagoda, Leifeng Pagoda's absorption efficiency was 30% higher. He could stay here for 10 days. The 10th place of the Hidden Dragon ranking had 19 hours, plus 2 months of basic rewards. Although the energy of the relic was already very thin, it was still much faster than normal cultivation. Especially for the current Lin Feng, who was absorbing the third layer of the spirit essence, the titanium heart, was completely different from when he was in the Qin Emperor's mausoleum. Lin Feng was definitely a big contender. Even in Leifeng Pagoda, his absorption of the relic's energy was no less than the elite geniuses cultivating in Lonely Mountain. The spirit of earth, the fourth layer of the 9 dragons scripture, the titanium heart, all three at the same time. On the 17th day, Lin Feng entered the pagoda. The last 10 days of sprinting. July 7th, morning. Big brother Lin. Xia Ling waved happily. Lin Feng smiled. As soon as he came out of the passageway, he saw the figure that he yearned for day and night. Have you been waiting for a long time? Lin Feng said apologetically. Xia Ling smiled sweetly and didn't say anything. She just held Lin Feng with both hands and leaned her little head against him. To her, this was the greatest happiness. Where do you want to go? I'll accompany you. Lin Feng felt warm in his heart. Have breakfast with me, Xia Ling said softly. Okay. Villa 10,100. Brain Expanse Testing Machine. Lin Feng stepped out and looked at the numbers on the screen. It was as he had expected. Although the effect of the last 20 days was not as good as the first 6, but it was after all 24 hours of non-stop cultivation. After reaching the third layer of the spirit essence, the titanium heart's absorption of the gene fluid had reached a new level. Compared to when he had just entered the floating elemental island, his cultivation speed was naturally much faster. Middle-level revered ancient martial artist. Lin Feng smiled. The spirit of the earth was also close to 98%, close to the fourth layer. It was only a short distance away. 2 recommendations: Rebirth of Wuxia and The Richest Man in the Village. Those who are short of books may want to take a look. Chapter 163. In the combat strength testing space. Enmity. The black dragon's saber roared. Lin Feng's fighting spirit was overflowing. A huge steel shell tortoise monster's shell shattered and let out a miserable roar. In an instant, the light and shadow disappeared. The 120th level passed. From the 60th level to the 120th level, there were savage beginner-level monsters. A month ago, the reason why Lin Feng fell at the 110th level was not because he was not strong enough, but because of his physical fitness. His strength was at the beginner level of ancient revered martial artists. His strength and physical strength were only at the beginner level of savage level, but now his speed was at the beginner level of savage level. His strength and physical strength were at the intermediate level of savage level. Continue. At the 129th level, Lin Feng exited the combat strength testing space. The intermediate level of savage level monsters are so strong. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with excitement. Failure would only make him braver and braver. Here, he could challenge the powerful monsters in the depths of savage level again and again. Every one of them had strength that was not inferior to him, completely suppressing his combat strength. That feeling was like climbing one level after another, making him excited and expectant. He longed for strength. Elemental martial arts. Saber arts. Lin Feng was very clear about his current strength. If he wanted to go further in the combat strength testing space, these two were indispensable. The saber move Enmity was only at the first grade of the profound level, and there were too few changes. The accompanying Heart Sutra Red Snow was also too weak. It was indeed unstoppable below the savage level, but it was difficult to raise it to the savage level. Of course, if he could be like Fu Hongxue and raise his saber art to the peak of the 6th level, he would be invincible. However, that was a level that even Sea King level experts could not reach. Jiumaji, the imperial tutor of Northern Song Dynasty. Addicted to martial arts, known as the Great Wheel Wisdom King. Savage level expert, Heart Sutra Small Formless Technique, Martial Art Flaming Saber, Body Sutra Wisdom King Step. Lin Feng still remembered it clearly. This was the Heart Sutra and martial art that he had recited when he was in the Imperial Mausoleum of Qin. But it was only the first 3 levels, and in the floating elemental island all 5 levels. I already have the small formless technique. As long as I purchase the Blazing Saber and Bright King Steps, I will be able to start cultivating. However, if I buy these 2, I won't have enough battle points for the S-ranked Titanium Element Martial Art Titanium Body. Lin Feng was a little hesitant. His battle points, it had just passed 5 million points. If he were to buy the Titanium Grade Body, the Blazing Saber and the Bright King Step would be temporarily unavailable. The former. Lin Feng quickly made his decision. After cultivating the Flaming Blade and the Wise King Steps, I'll definitely have to go to the West Lake world to temper myself. It won't be too late to earn battle points to buy the Titanium Grade Body. Lin Feng began a new cultivation. Now that his martial spirit had reached the 3rd level, the absorption rate of the gene fluid had increased. While soaking in the gene fluid, he practiced the heart formula and used the remaining time to comprehend the minor phaseless method, Flaming Blade, and Wise King Step. Among them, the lesser phaseless art was a top-grade Earth-ranked heart technique, while the Flaming Saber art was a first-grade Earth-ranked saber art. The Bright King Steps was a 3rd-grade Earth-class movement technique. It was very average. In the post-wuxia era, the spiritual energy is thin, so they pay more attention to the performance of combat power. Compared to the Sea King level powerhouses of the Three Kingdoms period, the Sea King level powerhouses are much stronger. In fact, they are not much inferior. They are all upper-grade Earth class. Even the Savage level can use them. Lin Feng first cultivated the small formless technique. With the experience of cultivating the 9 Dragons scripture, even the top-grade Earth-class heart formula was easy to grasp. After all, the heart formula had many commonalities. The key was the control of the energy of heaven and earth. Quiet in action, not in appearance, untraceable. Behind Lin Feng there was no light and shadow. His hands flashed with a bright light. Rich energy of heaven and earth gathered. Huff! Lin Feng breathed in and out. Opening his eyes, he smiled faintly. It's easier than expected. Lin Feng did not stop and continued to cultivate. With the formless heart, he had a deep understanding. After spending 3 days, he reached the 4th level of the small formless technique. The 5th level was already in front of him. August 3rd. Boom! Lin Feng fiercely blasted out a palm. The majestic energy and explosive power were shocking. The light and shadow behind him were even more illusory. A white ray of light was hidden within the illusory figure, and spiritual energy burst out of it. A palm print was clearly imprinted on the superalloy plate. With Lin Feng's current strength, a casual palm had the power of a savage level. Lin Feng smiled faintly. The 5th level of the small formless technique, fully comprehended. Although the power is not as strong as the 4th level of the 9 Dragons scripture, if combined with the Flaming Blade, it will definitely be better than the 9 Dragons scripture. And the Wisdom King Step. In the space of consciousness. Qi. Using the super brain to analyze the movements, Lin Feng practiced the Flaming Blade to the limit. Lin Feng was definitely the first ancient warrior to use advanced technology to practice the blade but not to comprehend the blade intent. It seemed to be an unconventional method, but Lin Feng, who was a genetic warrior, knew the importance of the shape of the blade. With the help of advanced technology, he could lay a solid foundation. It would indeed waste a lot of time in the early stage, but once the shape was perfect, there would be traces of blade intent in the blade move. He could see through it and comprehend the entire blade intent. And the combination of the blade intent and the shape of the blade will be even stronger. Lin Feng was not in a hurry to improve the spirit of the earth. Even if it absorbed on its own, The remaining 2% would be saturated in 2 months. In contrast, what he was most eager to improve was the breadth of his brain and his combat ability. Bit by bit, he made up for his weaknesses. After laying the foundation for the Flaming Blade and the Wisdom King Step, Lin Feng entered the West Lake world. Actual combat training. To improve his strength, comprehend the blade intent and body intent, actual combat was definitely the most effective. Moreover, Lin Feng also needed battle points. The others could be ignored, but the only S-grade titanium element martial art, titanium body, he had to learn it. The days on the floating elemental island were very peaceful. Every day there was nothing but cultivation. The elites were shocked to discover that, unknowingly, Lin Feng had once again charged into the top 10. No, it was the top 5. Moreover, his ranking was rising every day. 4th, 3rd, 1st. Points, 826890. Huang Tian was still cultivating in the ancient ruins, but Lin Feng had already quietly occupied the first place. Below him was Qin Qiyun, Xiang Tiangao, and other elite experts who were always in the top 10. The changes of the era had already been completed unknowingly. However, Lin Feng's points did not stop growing. 850,000, 900,000, 950,000. Monster! This guy is really not human. Huang Tian's record for the first half of the year was broken so easily. Oh my god! Everyone was completely numb to Lin Feng's abnormality. Looking at the name at the top of the Hidden Dragon ranking, it had not changed for half a month, and no one was able to move it, including the former king, Huang Tian. Because on the evening of August 31st, Lin Feng's points on the Hidden Dragon ranking had already reached a shocking level. 1003345. 7 digits. Combat Strength Training Space. Last time, Lin Feng entered the test. He had not entered it for a full month, and the current record was still at level 129. This time, no matter which level he passed, it would be the last time he passed on the floating elemental island. Because he was leaving. Chapter 164. Hidden Dragon List. 103 million. 104 million. 105 million. Is he going to break the record again? What is Alliance Leader Yi Shang's record again? 1080550. After 2 months of peace, the floating elemental island became lively again. Elite warriors came to the Hidden Dragon List one after another to witness the birth of a new record. Lin Feng started from 1 million points and climbed up step by step. 108115. He passed. So easy. I didn't expect it would only take 2 months. Everyone sighed. They were already used to Lin Feng breaking record. They also thought that Lin Feng would break Alliance Leader Yi Shang's record sooner or later, but they didn't expect it to be so fast. Alliance Leader Yi Shang spent almost 2 years to set the record, but Lin Feng broke it in just 3 months. 1088903. Damn, this lunatic is not done yet. He is going crazy again. 1 million. Oh my god, is he going to break the record? 110,000. 113 million. It's broken, it's broken. He really broke the record. He is too scary. Everyone looked at the first place on the scoreboard in shock. They were all speechless. A newcomer who entered the floating elemental island for less than 3 months had already broken the record that had been sealed for decades. Number 10100, Lin Feng. Total points, 1158903. Combat Power Testing Space. 149th level. Lin Feng smiled faintly. From the 19th level to the 149th level, it was the simplest and most direct way to show the results of this 1 month's training. My current strength is equivalent to intermediate savage. It won't be a problem for me to defeat normal low-level savage monsters. I can fight against middle-level savage monsters. Even if I run into high-level savage monsters, I can still fight them. Lin Feng was very clear about his own strength. After entering the exchange space, Lin Feng looked at the only titanium element martial art hanging there. He bought it directly. Half price, 150,000 battle point. It was time to leave. To Lin Feng, the floating elemental island was just a stepping stone, the last springboard to reach the savage level. Challenge, fight. This is the path that a true expert should take. The stronger the opponent, the harsher the environment. Only then can I force myself to be stronger. It's too peaceful here. Lin Feng's desire to become stronger grew with each passing day. Especially now that he was facing the strongest clan in ancient Huaxia, the Shang dynasty. His identity and his mother's identity were like a bomb that could explode at any time. Without sufficient strength, what awaited him would be a devastating disaster. He could not stop, nor did he want to stop. West Lake World. Lin Feng and Ling strolled under the setting sun. At dusk, the scenery of the lake and mountains reflected by the sunset was breathtaking. Ling Yes. I'm leaving. Yes. Lin Feng was surprised. Xia Ling stood on her tiptoes and gave Lin Feng a light peck before separating. Dad always says that a man has ambitions. The big brother Lin I know is a man who gets stronger when he meets strong opponents and is not afraid of challenges. Xia Ling looked at Lin Feng with sparkling eyes. Big brother Lin will definitely become a famous figure in the future. Love. It shouldn't be a burden. Xia Ling smiled sweetly. Don't worry, big brother Lin. Ling will wait for you here. Work hard in your cultivation. Looking at the fairy-like Ling in front of him, Lin Feng's heart felt warm. She was really kind and gentle. Thank you, Ling. Lin Feng gently pulled Ling into his arms. Yes, a murmur sounded in his ear. Lin Feng felt as if there was water dripping from his shoulder. You must miss Ling, big brother Lin. I will. Kiss me. Parting was always sad. Happiness was always so short. But some things had to be done. Xia Merchant Alliance Envoy. Lin Feng bowed slightly. Xia Ruffeng looked at Lin Feng and said slowly, You've made your decision? Yes. Good, follow me to see Island Master Jiang. Junior Lin Feng greets Island Master Jiang, Lin Feng said respectfully. The white-haired old man in front of him was the highly respected floating elemental island master of the Elemental Merchant Alliance. You're welcome. Have a seat. Jiang Wufeng smiled kindly. Lin Feng nodded and sat down. I heard from little Xia that you're leaving? Jiang Wufeng narrowed his eyes. Yes, Island Master Jiang, Lin Feng answered. There were no more challenges in the West Lake world. Killing for the sake of fighting. A peaceful life would not only relax one's fighting spirit, but it would also prevent one from pushing oneself to the limit. Jiang Wufeng nodded thoughtfully. Where are you going? Mount Hua. Lin Feng didn't hesitate. Jiang Wufeng sneered. You want to go there to fight for treasures too? Fight for treasures? Lin Feng looked at Island Master Jiang blankly. I don't know. Jiang Wufeng suddenly smiled. Do you know about holy treasures? Lin Feng shook his head. Holy treasures are existences that contain great power. Jiang Wufeng's eyes shone. Whether it's a savage elite, a sea king elite, or even a legend elite, they all crave holy treasures. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. Even a legend elite is interested in holy treasures? Holy treasures are divided into ordinary, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Jiang Wufeng said, for example, the common earth purple dew will become an ordinary holy treasure if it evolves one more level. Common earth purple dew. Lin Feng was surprised. Such a treasure needed to evolve one more level to become an ordinary holy treasure? Lin Feng was shocked. Today's elemental technology can only make Geno armor and elemental armor at most, and the cost is not cheap. But any ordinary holy treasure like armor or armor surpasses this defense and reaches Geno armor. For example, The golden sacred armor of the 12 constellations of Greece is a Geno armor. Lin Feng listened carefully. For a long time, he had thought that the elemental battle suit was already the best. There were levels, and they were only ordinary holy treasures. How powerful would the beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels be? You're digressing. Jiang Wufeng smiled. About half a year ago, the Qinling Mountains began to have earthquake. It's different from ordinary earthquake. It's from the depths of the earth. Now, it's almost certain that it's because a holy treasure is about to be unearthed. Jiang Wufeng narrowed his eyes. So, the Qinling Mountains are very lively now. Countless warriors, savage elites, and even Sea King elites. Holy treasure unearthed. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. Holy treasures have spirit. Those who are destined to live there. Jiang Wufeng smiled. More than a quarter of the savage elites of the Elemental Business Alliance have entered the Qinling Mountains. Not only us, but also the elites of Dragon Killing Island, the First Bank of China, and the 4 dojos. The Qinling Mountains are very lively now. Jiang Wufeng narrowed his eyes. So, do you still want to go? Yes. Lin Feng did not hesitate. He had no reason to miss such a great opportunity. Only when there was danger would there be opportunities. Good. Jiang Wufeng smiled with satisfaction. If you retreat in danger, I'll look down on you. A man should act like a man. As he spoke, Jiang Wufeng took out a crystal watch and tossed it over. I think you should be able to use the things inside. Go ahead, little guy. Lin Feng took the crystal watch. Thank you, senior. Holding the crystal watch in his hand, Lin Feng turned around and left. To be continued. Chapter 165. Little Xia, what's your score in the test? Jiang Wufeng asked. Level 159, Xia Rufeng answered honestly. Jiang Wufeng chuckled. I heard that Lin Feng and Ling are together now? Old Jiang, you're well informed. Xia Rufeng smiled. Otherwise, how can I be the island owner? Jiang Wufeng squinted his eyes and smiled. Suddenly, his eyes flashed. Little Xia, do you think this kid has a chance to break through to the Sea King level? 50%, Xia Rufeng said. As long as he doesn't die, he'll at least be the Chamber of Commerce's leader in the future. Jiang Wufeng nodded. But I don't know his character. Don't worry, island owner Jiang. Xia Rufeng smiled. If his character is not good, I won't entrust my daughter to him. According to my observation, Lin Feng is a man who values kindness. As long as the Elemental Commerce Alliance treats him sincerely, he'll repay it tenfold or even 100-fold. Jiang Wufeng squinted and smiled. So, I'll take a gamble. Xia Rufeng was startled and his eyes widened. Island owner Jiang, you didn't give him your Saint Scale armor, did you? It's a waste to keep it with me. Jiang Wufeng sighed. Besides, the Saint Scale armor is not as good as it used to be. This ordinary holy treasure only has a level of defense now. That's too precious. Xia Rufeng exclaimed. We don't know whether he'll be able to survive this trip to the Qinling Mountains. Jiang Wufeng said slowly, with the Saint Scale armor, his chances of survival will at least double. In addition, I'll inform Little Yi and ask them to take care of Lin Feng. Unless he offends those Sea King level masters, Lin Feng will be able to return safely. Xia Rufeng looked envious. It's this kid's fortune to be valued by island owner Jiang. Although the Elemental Commerce Alliance had many Chamber of Commerce leaders, after becoming inspectors and deacons, they would know that there were only 4 people in charge of the alliance. One of them was island owner Jiang. Times have changed. Now the Chamber of Commerce is in urgent need of Sea King level masters. Brahmin? Manla is not one of us. His intentions must be different. After Little Yi, Lin Feng is a super genius who is most likely to become a Sea King level master. Savage Mech? The Merchant Alliance's token? And this is, Lin Feng was a little stunned. Each one was more expensive than the last. The Savage Mech would cost at least 10 million gold coins. The Merchant Alliance Envoy token was a symbol of status and authority. The Elemental Merchant Alliance was spread throughout the entire ancient Huaxia, and the Merchant Alliance Envoy was comparable to the Imperial Envoys of ancient times. Ordinary savage-level experts couldn't even get their hands on one. One had to reach the intermediate savage level to be able to get one. And one last thing, it was a battle vest made of pitch-black scales. The scales were huge and densely packed. There were more than 100 pieces, a strange combination. Every scale looked very dim, like a plant that had lost its moisture. Even so, he could still feel the toughness of these scales. What a strong defense! Lin Feng thought to himself. He had injected a strand of spiritual qi into it, but there was no reaction at all. Island Master Jiang, what a generous gift! Lin Feng felt very grateful. Mount Qinling, Mount Hua. Swoosh! A savage mech passed through the mountain range. Whoosh! The mech landed and a few figures jumped out. This is the place, Senior Chiu, Ziyu said respectfully. It was a man with white sideburns. He had a high forehead and a square face. A pair of ice-cold eyes scanned the surroundings, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He was Chiu-Ing, a beginner savage-level expert. Are you sure? Chiu-Ing asked coldly. Ziyu nodded. Brother Chiu, don't worry. The 2 purple spirit flower kings are under the rubble, Zibuchu said. Earth treasure-level spirit fruits and herbs wouldn't be crushed by the rubble. Chiu-Ing nodded. If that's the case, I won't bully you. You take the first drop and I'll take the second. Ziyu lowered his head, the corner of his mouth twitching. The price was high. But compared to reporting to Dragon Killing Island and his family, it was much more profitable. Without a doubt, he would be able to earn more. Furthermore, with the help of a Savage Realm expert, he would be able to reduce the risk to the minimum. With just 1 drop of Earth Purple Spirit Dew, his father would be able to break through and become a savage-level expert. The only thing he was worried about was, the murderer who killed young Master Jia and took the Earth Purple Spirit Dew hadn't shown up yet. Who is he? It's been 3 months, and the Yi family hasn't found any reliable clues. Ziyu still had some worry in his eyes. Qin Emperor Elemental Plaza. The center of the entire Qin Emperor city, the most prosperous area, was owned by the Elemental Shopping Center. At night, the lights were still bright as if it was daytime. Look, the landing pad in the center of the plaza has risen. A big shot is coming. Wow, is a big shot from the Elemental Merchant Alliance a patrol inspector? Are you stupid? Look at the patrol inspectors standing there. Do you see the man with a mustache, small eyes, and an extraordinary aura? He's a savage-level expert. He's the leader of the Elemental Merchant Alliance in the Qinhuang region, Manager Gong's son. 1 layer inside, 1 layer outside. The center of the plaza was already lit up with a layer of cadmium electricity, separating the crowd. However, there were still many curious people who wanted to see the big shot from the Elemental Merchant Alliance. In the center of the plaza, Manager Gong Sunling, Patrol Inspector Lei Gang, He Jingying and Pang Leihu were all waiting patiently. They had received news that a new Elemental Merchant Alliance envoy was about to arrive. Manager Gongsun, do you know who it is? He Jingying asked curiously. I'm not very sure. I only know that his surname is Lin. The notice on the message says Lin Shang Alliance Envoy. Gongsun Ling said seriously. He's not a manager or a deacon. He was directly appointed by the floating elemental island. He should be an elite who just broke through. Although he's a savage-level beginner, he has the strength of a savage-level intermediate. The Elemental Merchant Alliance thinks highly of him. Lin Shang Alliance Envoy? Lei Gang, He Jingying, and the other 2 looked at each other and pondered. None of the famous geniuses from the floating elemental island have the surname Lin, right? Lei Gang asked suspiciously. There's nothing to guess. We'll find out soon. Gongsun Ling looked at the 3. Let me remind you. Remember to get on the good side of this new Alliance envoy. It's rare for the Elemental Merchant Alliance to skip ranks to be appointed. This means that they think highly of him. Once Envoy Lin Shang's strength reaches Savage Level Intermediate, he might become the Elemental Merchant Alliance leader. Everyone looked nervous. The future Elemental Merchant Alliance leader. The Elemental Merchant Alliance's power was close to the Sea King level. Killing them would be like stepping on ant. He's here. Gongsun Ling's eyes flashed. In the distance, a stream of light appeared from time to time. There were continuous exclamations from the surroundings. Lei Gang and the other 2 patrol inspectors stood nervously. The Sea King level fighter jet slowly landed. Gongsun Ling showed his standard smile. Lei Gang and the other 2 welcomed him with smiles. Swish. The door of the fighter jet opened. You can drop me here. Lin Feng smiled and jumped down. Ta. Lin Feng landed. Gongsun Ling's eyes widened. His smile froze in an instant. Lin Shang Alliance Envoy? Lei Gang's jaw almost dropped to the ground. Chapter 166. Merchant Alliance Envoy, have some tea. Gongsun Ling smiled. Manager Gongsun, you are welcome. Lin Feng's gaze swept over Lei Gang and the other 2. He couldn't help but smile. No need to stand on ceremony. Brother Lei, let's sit together. Lei Gang and the other 2 looked at each other and sat down hesitantly. It's like this. There's something I need everyone's help with, Lin Feng said. Merchant Alliance Envoy, please speak your mind. Gongsun Ling said. Lei Gang and the other 2 straightened their backs and focused. Lin Feng looked at their serious faces and smiled. He asked embarrassedly, do any of you know how to fly a fighter jet? Everyone was stunned. Merchant Alliance Envoy, it is already dark. Why don't we leave tomorrow? Gongsun Ling tried to persuade him to stay. Yes, Merchant Alliance Envoy. Pang Leihu smiled flatteringly. This subordinate has already arranged an emperor suite for you in the Emperor Qin Grand Hotel. There will be fine wine, delicacies, and all kinds of beauties. As he spoke, Pang Leihu raised his eyebrows, hinting at Lin Feng. The other investigator, He Jingying, did not agree with Pang Leihu, but she still forced a smile. The 18-years-old Merchant Alliance Envoy was not someone they could afford to offend. No. Lin Feng declined. He smiled and stepped onto the Savage fighter jet. He waved and said, "See you next time." Hua. The door of the jet closed. Sunset City. Lin Feng pressed the start button and a map appeared on the screen. The fully intelligent Savage mech was not difficult to operate. The mech instantly rose into the air and disappeared into the night sky like a stream of light. The smiles on the faces of Gongsun Ling and the other three disappeared. What replaced it was deep shock. It has only been 3 months? Gongsun Ling looked at the night sky and smiled bitterly. In 3 months, he has already jumped a few ranks and become a Merchant Alliance Envoy. I just asked my friend. He Jingying's eyes sparkled. In the first month after entering the floating elemental island, Alliance Envoy Lin Shang broke the record and ranked 10th on the Hidden Dragon leaderboard. Today, he even broke the record that had been sealed for decades, with a total of 115,893 points. Everyone sighed in admiration. Actually, Lei Gang said, Alliance Envoy Lin Shang and I sparred 3 months ago. Before entering the floating elemental islands? Gongsun Ling was surprised. Lei Gang nodded. At that time, his strength had already surpassed mine. What? The evening sky was beautiful. Sitting in the fighter jet, Lin Feng looked at the surrounding night scenery, his mind very calm. The Merchant Alliance Envoy was just an empty title, it didn't mean anything. Mount Hua, Holy Treasure. Savage Grade. Or even Sea King level expert. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. His strength should be in the lower middle of the Savage level, but the soul of the earth is about to break through to the 4th stage. At that time, my strength will have a huge leap. He was comparable to a high-level Savage Beast expert, so he might be able to compete for the sage treasure. Furthermore, the unearthing of holy treasures will bring about all kinds of wonders, such as rare earth elements and natural treasures. Perhaps there will be other gains. I still owe the little witch doctor a lot of money. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. It was natural to owe money and pay it back. It wasn't that he would forget if the little witch doctor didn't mention it. The fighter jet streaked across the night sky. Soon, Lin Feng returned to Sunset City. Elemental City was too far away, and he needed to pass through the Savage Lands. He had to take the Sea King level fighter jet, and Lin Feng didn't want to trouble others. Moreover, he often saw his mother and sister through micro-video projections. They were living happily in Elemental City, so Lin Feng didn't have to worry. Elemental City was 100 times safer than Sunset Dojo. He went back to Battle College to see his good brothers Ollie and Tao Jing. They got together and chatted happily. Then he saw Sister Bing and Photon Ko. Sister Bing had completely recovered. Photon Ko also had surgery to install an alloy arm. Unfortunately, the captain had not woken up yet, and Yu Jie was also in seclusion. He didn't stay for long. Lin Feng soon set off again. In the dead of the night, it didn't cause much of a stir. Z family. Young master. Kneeling on one knee, it was a burly man wearing level Geno armor. Like a mountain, his existence gave people a deep sense of oppression. High-level savage elite, Xing Meng. Ki. The voice was very delicate like a needle. A pair of eyes flashed with a sharp light, and the devilish face was extremely handsome. It was hard to tell if it was a man or a woman. As someone who cultivated the Super Heaven-ranked Heart Sutra, the Sunflower Manual, even though he was not even half as tall as the kneeling man, his aura completely suppressed him. This was especially true for his rare innate talent soul, which placed him above the clouds. Sea King level elite, Zikue. The investigation is correct. The possibility of a holy treasure unearthed in Qinling is more than 80%. Xing Meng's voice was like a bell. Is that so? Zikue chuckled. Not only that, but from the experience of holy treasures unearthed in the past, this time, it might be a beginner holy treasure. Xing Meng's eyes were bright. Zikue's voice was like a needle, making people's hair stand on end. Young master, should we inform? Xing Meng hesitated. No need. Zikue's eyes were sharp. Father is in seclusion. There is no need to bother him with such a small matter. I will take the holy treasure. Yes, Xing Meng said in a deep voice. I will arrange for people immediately. Zikue nodded strangely. Any news from the Li Tang family and the real martial dojo? Young master, Li Jixing has already entered Qinling. The real martial dojo did not find anything. Xing Meng said seriously. As for the Elemental Business Alliance and the other 8 families, enough. Zikue interrupted impatiently. Don't mention these useless people who are not a threat. Leave. Yes. Xing Meng left. In the empty hall, only Zikue was left. For silver needles appeared in his right hand, and he clamped them between his fingers, shining with a terrifying light. Li Jixing, are you born in the face of calamity? This time, I will kill you. The sound of the air breaking was heard, and the 4 silver needles, which were only the length of an index finger, pierced the air and formed the word death. Ha ha! His devilish laughter echoed, and Zikue's eyes were full of pride and confidence. Father, I don't understand. What's so good about the 9 Dragons scripture? The Sunflower scripture is the strongest heart sutra. In the military camp in the capital city, there were at least dozens of people in the black mask. We only have one goal. The holy treasure. Do not disgrace the name of the strongest army in Huaxia. We will not return without victory. They stood with their heads held high, and their eyes were firm and unyielding. Hao Taijun, a Sea King level expert and marshal. The abnormality in Qinling had lasted for half a year. It had already spread throughout Huaxia. The 5 giants and the 8 families all knew about it and were secretly preparing. Just as Jiang Wufeng had said, the Qinling Mountains were full of heroes and were very lively. The holy treasure was a real transcendent treasure. Who wouldn't like it? Now, a storm was coming. In the real martial dojo. Tianzhu is so greedy. Yes, they want to snatch the things in Huaxia. With the Grandmaster here, they will not be allowed to interfere. Among the 10 strongest people in the world, the Grandmaster is ranked second. The reason why Huaxia has not fallen is because of the Grandmaster. Those who offend Huaxia will be killed no matter how far away they are. To be continued. Chapter 167. Mount Qinling, Zhongnan Mountain. Gold tungsten bite. A golden fist punched into the body of a red sky bear monster. Suddenly, a golden light shone, and a scary power roared. The strong electric current was like an electric snake, tearing the wild high-level monster to pieces. Only a Sea King rank powerhouse could possess such strength in close combat. Another one. Feng Yi laughed. It was a handsome man. He was wearing Geno armor, and he had a bright smile on his face. Yi Fan. Fan 2 for 5. A black-haired young man with a green foxtail in his mouth sat on the edge of the cliff. There was a long scar on his left eye. It was the leader of the business alliance, Han Fei. No problem. You can collect the materials. Yi Fan smiled. You lazy bum. His body flashed and appeared beside the crimson nimbus bear's corpse. He quickly harvested it. In an instant, his saber flashed like a shadow, and a hissing sound could be heard. Oh right, Fan, why did old Jiang look for you? It was island leader Jiang, Yi Fan corrected him. He wanted to appoint a new business alliance ambassador. A new business alliance ambassador? Han Fei did not care. Why did he have to tell me? He could have just sent a message. Unless… Oh, he was promoted by the floating element island. Yi Fan nodded. It's Lin Feng, the guy I mentioned a few days ago. Han Fei was shocked and then laughed. The kid who broke your record. Haha. Interesting. Wait. Han Fei's movements suddenly stopped as he turned around to look at Yi Fan in shock. You're saying that this newbie graduated from the floating elemental island in 3 months? Yeah. Yi Fan shrugged. When he left, he broke the floating element island's record. *T. Han Fei's mouth twitched. There are so many monsters every year. Yi Fan said, actually, island leader Jiang told me that Lin Feng came to Mount Qinling. He asked us to take care of him. Then ask him to come. Han Fei's eyes flashed. I want to see a monster that is crazier than you. What kind of monster is he? Yi Fan shrugged. But he refused. Huh. Qinling Mountains. So this is Island Master Jiang's intention. Lin Feng suddenly understood. He fiddled with the crystal watch in his hand. Not only was it the carrier and storage space of the Savage Fighter, but it was also the positioning communicator unique to the Elemental Commerce Alliance. There were red dots, green dots, and gold dots on the map. Their exact locations could be clearly seen on the map. Of course, if it was turned off, it would not be displayed. The red dot represents the Merchant Alliance envoy, and the green dot represents the Merchant Alliance leader. The only golden point should be the Sea King level expert, Brahmin, worshipped by the Commerce Alliance. Manla. Lin Feng nodded. On the plane, he had just spoken to Ling and the Xia Business Alliance's envoy. Regarding this, he understood quite a lot. Sacred scale close. Lin Feng pressed his chest lightly. Who would have thought that this battle vest with pitch-black scales would have such a powerful background? It's made from the back scales of the legendary annihilation-grade monster, the Black Qilin. Lin Feng was secretly shocked. Who could do this? According to the ambassador of the Xia Merchant Alliance, this sacred scale garment originally had saint power, but unfortunately, it was damaged. No wonder it looks like it has lost its luster and has no vitality. Lin Feng nodded. But, the scales of an annihilation-grade monster, even if used independently, are top-grade battle suits. And very light. It was only 1/10 of the weight of an elemental battle suit. 2 layers of defense. Lin Feng was still wearing the level 1 Geno battle armor. Geno battle boot. These were all given by manager Gongsun, so Lin Feng did not hold back. Compared to the level 9 elemental battle armor and battle boots he had bought himself, his defense and speed could be increased by another level. On the contrary, the Black Dragon battle knife had become the lowest grade. However, it had just adapted to the Black Dragon battle knife. Lin Feng did not want to change it, although he had enough money. If I have the chance, I have to thank Island Master Jiang. Lin Feng was grateful. Although it was an ordinary damaged holy treasure, its value was also difficult to estimate. Including the message that the Yi Business Alliance's envoy had sent just now, it was all Island Master Jiang's doing. This kind old man made him feel a kind of care from the heart. As for Yi Fan's invitation, Lin Feng declined. If he followed Yi Fan, his trip to the Qinling Mountains would become meaningless. In the first place, he was here to challenge. Treasure hunting was just a side trip. The night was silent. After absorbing the Geno fluid to saturation, Lin Feng got up. It's good to have the savage fighter. Lin Feng walked to the control room. The fighter that could resist the attacks of the savage beast was the best place for him to train. It only took less than 5 minutes to stop at the border of the Huashan area and he could train in peace. It solved his biggest problem. Take off. Lin Feng controlled it with his voice. In an instant the fighter took off. The screen in front of him flashed, and Lin Feng chose the coordinate. Whoosh! The savage fighter disappeared. The training began. Lin Feng returned to the Huashan area. Although he was still alone, the feeling was very different. The second move, Fire Would Fire. It was like a blade that broke the sky with a strong light of blade fire. It was very powerful. The black dragon roared, and the land in front of him was scorched. The giant god-eater lizard screamed and was instantly killed. It was a powerful monster that had forced Erengia to flee in the Huashan area and chased Lin Feng until he had to avoid it. Now it was vulnerable. Clang! The black dragon sheathed his blade. A shadow flashed behind Lin Feng and condensed into the immovable Wisdom King. The Flaming Blade, originally known as the Immovable Wisdom King Flaming Blade, was an extremely secret technique of the Tang dynasty. It was famous for its internal force. When the minor phaseless method was cultivated to the 5th level, the Immovable Wisdom King appeared. His hands gathered powerful energy of heaven and earth, which was special for the minor phaseless method, and hid its power. Roar! Roar! In front, 6 God-Eater Lizard Kings chased after him. Every one of them was a high-level Beast King. However, compared to the 100-legged God-Eater Lizard, they were undoubtedly 1 level lower. The third move, Fiery Tree Silver Flower. Lin Feng didn't use the blade. He held the ball with both hands and operated the minor phaseless divine art. Suddenly, his hands separated and 6 invisible blade auras shot out. Chi! 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 The sound of the explosion was ear-splitting. The 6 God-Eater Lizard Kings were directly dismembered. It's only the shape, not the strength of the Earth rank. Lin Feng shook his head. He could vaguely feel a trace of blade intent from the shape of the blade, but it still needed a long time to understand. Even so, this Earth rank blade technique was far better than the 7 spinning slash. Whether it was power, speed, or just the strength of the blade, it was at the profound rank. Moreover, the minor phaseless method was an out-and-out Earth rank technique, comparable to the 4th level of the 9 Dragons scripture. How could the infinite sea of Qi compare with it? From easy to difficult. The comprehension of blade intent needs to be done step by step. Let's start from the first move, Lightning Flint. Lin Feng collected the materials of the God-Eater Lizard Kings and made up his mind. In the West Lake world, there were no real challenges, but in this Mount Hua area, there were countless savage monsters, and it was an excellent place to hone himself. Including the body intent of the Wisdom King's step, he could slowly comprehend it in actual combat. But before that, let's go to the place where I found the Purple Spirit Flower King. Lin Feng's eyes shone. There are 2 Purple Spirit Flower Kings there. Lin Feng knew clearly. Because on that day, it was not Yi Renjie who found the Purple Spirit Flower King first. It was him. Chapter 168. On the Cliff. Brother Chiu, based on your experience, how long before this Purple Spirit Flower King matures? Zibo Chiu asked. Within 3 days, Chiuing said seriously. Good. Zibo Chiu's eyes lit up as he clenched his fist. He was only 3 days away from the great Earth Purple Spirit Dew. Soon, he would become a savage-level expert. No one will find out, right? Zibo Chiu was worried. No warrior will be so bored as to dig through the gravel. Chiu-ing looked indifferent. The only thing we need to be careful of is ourselves. We need to stay away from the Purple Spirit Flower King and hunt for treasures as usual. When the time is almost up, we will go back to get it. The 7 of them nodded. Remember, pretend you don't know about the Purple Spirit Flower King. Chiu-ing looked serious. Yes. Lin Feng landed lightly on the ground. Looking around the gravel, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Someone was here. It should be Yi Renjie's dragon-killing Heavenly Wind team. Lin Feng knew clearly. Although Yi Renjie died that day, the dragon-killing Heavenly Wind team managed to escape. Naturally, they knew about the Purple Spirit Flower King. But, closing his eyes, Lin Feng sensed the surroundings. Over here. Lin Feng soon found the Purple Spirit Flower King. The pile of crushed stones in front of him was scattered in an irregular manner, as if someone had purposely covered it up. Lin Feng turned it over and saw a budding Purple Spirit Flower King. It was noble and beautiful. Its huge petals bloomed 16 times, forming the shape of a crown. A faint purple light could be seen faintly through the gaps of the crown. It was not mature yet. There are no signs of it blooming. I have to wait, Lin Feng thought to himself. He carefully restored the gravel and continued to cover the Purple Spirit Flower King. Lin Feng scanned the surroundings and left. 1 day. 2 days. Lin Feng cultivated and waited patiently. Lin Feng did not care much about the dragon-killing Heavenly Wind team. He was much stronger than before. Even if there were 10 Yi Renjie, he would not be afraid. He was determined to obtain the Great Earth Purple Spirit Dew. If I can harvest these 2 drops of Great Earth Purple Dew, I'll be able to return the little witch doctor. Lin Feng firmly remembered this. It was hard to return a favor. But material things could be repaid first. On the 3rd day. Let's go. Chiu Ying's expression was serious. Alright. Zibo Chiu's eyes were filled with excitement while Ziyu smiled brightly. They had been waiting for this day for a long time. The group of 7 people was nervous, and excited. They cautiously came to the top of a cliff. Looking down from the cliff, one could see the pile of rubble. Not good. Chiu Ying's expression changed drastically. What he saw was a person swiftly rushing over from the bottom of the cliff. Zibo Chiu, Ziyu, and the others immediately panicked. It was Lin Feng. They had been waiting here since 2 hours ago. He would check every half an hour. The Purple Spirit Flower King was getting closer and closer to blooming. Every drop of Great Earth Purple Dew was worth at least 10 million gold coins, and there was no market for it. Whoosh! Lin Feng dashed over. In an instant, his expression changed slightly, and he suddenly stopped in his tracks. He leaped backwards. Boom! Boom! 2 consecutive deafening sounds resounded. Electromagnetic cannon. Lin Feng's reaction was extremely fast. Although the electromagnetic cannon was powerful, its firing speed and movement were huge. Especially when the electromagnetic force condensed, there would be changes in the air, making it easy to sense. In this aspect, it was far inferior to the bows and arrows of ancient martial artists. On the cliff, Lin Feng instantly judged. Lightning flint. Lin Feng crossed his hands, and the Akalanatha appeared behind him. The energy of heaven and earth instantly gathered, and a flaming blade slashed through the air in each of his hands, heading straight for the direction of the electromagnetic cannon sound. Chi! Chi! It was as fast as lightning. When the original location exploded, the flaming blade had already arrived. Boom! Boom! There were screams on the cliff. At this moment, whoosh! In midair, an eagle-like figure whizzed over. It was a man with white sideburns, and his cold eyes flashed with a cold light. His hands formed into claws, and his explosive power was shocking. There was no energy of heaven and earth, but the pressure of the strong spiritual energy made Lin Feng's heart skip a beat. The black dragon's saber was unsheathed. A savage-level expert. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Dragon-killing island? Only he knew about the Purple Spirit Flower King. Only the members of the dragon-killing Heavenly Wind team knew about it. It was not hard to tell. Just kill him. Lin Feng did not have a good impression of the dragon-killing island. It was not only because he was the owner of Dragon-Killing Island, but also because the Dragon-Killing Island had betrayed ancient Huaxia. Looking at the enemy in midair, Lin Feng could not help but smile. Obviously, the enemy thought that he was an ordinary martial honorable. He was too careless. Accumulating firewood. Lin Feng stomped his right foot on the ground, and the black dragon's saber roared. It sounded like a dragon's roar, and the Akalanatha behind him was ferocious. Spiritual energy poured into Lin Feng's saber. The saber was covered in flames, and it looked as if it could burn through the sky. The saber energy alone could kill the enemy from dozens of feet away. Qiu Ying's expression changed, and he felt a chill down his spine. How is this possible? When he used the electromagnetic cannon to test Lin Feng's strength, he was sure that he was using the energy of heaven and earth. Eagle claw art. Qiu Ying's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He was very confident in his attack. However, the black dragon below him roared like a raging inferno. Regardless of whether it was in terms of power or aura, it completely suppressed him. No! Qiu Ying's face twisted. Boom! They collided head-on. In an instant, Lin Feng was pushed back by the powerful force, and he fell down. Beginner savage-level experts were generally stronger than beginner savage-level monsters. However, Flaming Tree Silver Flower. As he fell, Lin Feng's strength exploded. He clenched his teeth and crossed his hands. In the blazing sound, flaming saber energy drew countless arcs and landed on Qiu Ying, who was also sent flying. The latter was originally more seriously injured than Lin Feng, so he hurriedly activated his defense. Diamond Iron Shirt. Pung, pung, pung. 3 consecutive flaming saber energies collided with the defense. The Diamond Iron Shirt instantly shattered into pieces. The 4th, 5th, and 6th flaming saber energies came like lightning. Qiu Ying's eyes were filled with shock. The remaining elemental armor couldn't withstand the terrifying flaming saber energies. Chi! 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 His body broke into 6 pieces in midair. Bang! The intense flame energy contained in the saber energies completely exploded. Lin Feng also fell deep into the pile of rocks. On the cliff. No, impossible. Ziyu's face was filled with shock. On the cliff, his father, Zibo Qiu, was killed in one slash. The other slash destroyed the electromagnetic cannon. Apart from him, the rest of the 7 people were either injured or dead. However, the most shocking one was the savage-level expert, Qiu Ying. The expert that his father had invited from Dragon-Killing Island was killed in one move in midair. He died without a burial place. Moreover, Ziyu clearly saw that face. It was an extremely familiar face. It was him who had caused young Master Jie to be seriously injured and fall off the cliff. Lin Feng. He is that Lin Feng? Ziyu's body trembled. Cold sweat flowed down his face as he staggered. At this moment, he couldn't care about anything else and hurriedly ran away. To be continued. Chapter 169. At the bottom of the cliff, bang! Lin Feng jumped out of the rubble. He held the black dragon saber in his hand and was unharmed except for a few rubble on his body. Lin Feng's eyes flashed fiercely. Like a vigorous leopard, he ran toward the cliff not far away. Lin Feng was very fast on the steep mountain path. In less than 10 seconds, he had reached the cliff. 5. Lin Feng glanced over. 3 dead and 2 severely injured. The electromagnetic gun was clearly visible. Chi. 2 flaming saber energies shot out from his fingers and killed 2 severely injured members of the dragon-killing island. You have to get rid of the root of the problem. Lin Feng had always remembered his elder brother's teachings. Pa! He took off a crystal watch and switched to the GPS function. Nothing. Lin Feng looked around. There were many small paths around the cliff. He frowned. If there were any that escaped, it would be very difficult to find them. I'm afraid there will be trouble when I get the second drop of earth purple dew. Lin Feng's figure vanished. At the bottom of the cliff, he searched every inch of the area but found nothing. Lin Feng quickly came to the pile of rubble. He took the time to collect the rubble to prevent any accident. He opened the pile of rubble. The purple spirit flower king, which was closed like a crown, was in full bloom. The dew-like purple glow was mesmerizing. It was very beautiful. The first drop. Lin Feng smiled. The earth purple dew was in his hands. He was still in shock. Ziyu, who had escaped with her life, had a pale complexion. In a short time, his father and his comrades were all killed. Even the strongest savage-level overlord, Qiuing, was no exception. He clearly remembered Lin Feng. Because of young Master Jie, Lin Feng had injured the handsome face that young Master Jie was most proud of that day. He had originally thought that Lin Feng had died after falling off the cliff, but who would have thought that Lin Feng would appear again more than a month later? Not only is he not dead, but he has become so powerful. Wait. Ziyu's eyes widened. He knows about the Purple Spirit Flower King. Could he be young Master Jie's killer? Qinhuang Domain, E-Family. The 4th shareholder of the First Bank of Huaxia, one of the 3 great families in the Qinhuang region. Patriarch Yi Sun's strength was close to that of a Sea King rank powerhouse. 3 months, it's already the 3rd month. Haven't you found anything yet? Yi Sun's eyes widened. The experts lowered their heads, not daring to make a sound. The Patriarch's anger was evident in his words. At this time, no one dared to provoke him. At this moment, Jian Chou, who was behind Yi Sun, lowered his head and looked at his crystal watch. In a split second, his eyes turned cold. Big brother, there's news. Half an hour later, the sky shook continuously. In an instant, a stream of light streaked past. Whoosh! A dark red figure descended from the fighter jet with dragon patterns circling around it. Jian Chou followed behind him, and behind him were 10 manic-grade experts dressed in the same uniform, standing in an orderly manner. Although the E-clan was not one of the 8 great clans, it was second only to the 8 great clans. Ziyu greets senior. Ziyu said respectfully. Speak. Isun's voice was cold. Yes, senior. Ziyu nodded. 10 minutes later, Lin Feng? Isun's eyes sparkled as he turned his head. He asked in a deep voice, Have you found anything? Yes, Patriarch. A bespectacled man handed over a holographic supercomputer. This is all the information on Lin Feng. Ziyu waited nervously. Isun's murderous intent terrified him. Whoosh, whoosh. Isun looked at the information with a cold expression. He could not stop releasing his murderous intent. Although there was not much information in the supercomputer, it was enough to prove that what Ziyu said was true. Are you sure he knows about the existence of the Purple Spirit Flower King? Yes. Cold sweat dripped from Ziyu's forehead. It can't be so coincidental. Not only did he kill my father, but he also killed Senior Qiuing. He definitely has the ability to kill young Master Jie. As if he thought of something, Ziyu quickly said, That day, young Master Jie sent his guards to kill the Ice Lion adventurer team to lure Lin Feng out. After that, Yi Sun's expression was extremely ugly. He clenched his fists and snapped his fingers. Why didn't you say something so important earlier? I thought he was already dead. Also, I didn't know that young Master Jie's guards were killed, Ziyu said. Yi Sun frowned. He had neglected the guards and thought that they had died under the claws of a savage-level monster. It turned out that they were not. That day I asked you clearly. Yi Sun's anger surged as he walked towards Ziyu. I asked you to tell me everything you know, every single detail. Yi Sun's voice was bone-chilling. Ziyu's legs trembled and sweat poured down. Why didn't you tell me about the guards? Why didn't you tell me about the Purple Spirit Flower King? Yi Sun stretched out his arm and grabbed Ziyu's neck like an eagle grabbing a chick. He lifted him up. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Then, don't blame me. You're ruthless. Crack. On the savage fighter. Chief, we found out. The bespectacled man's fingers flew rapidly. Everyone in the Ice Lion adventurer team is alive except for Flea. June 1st, on the day the young chief was killed, the Ice Lion adventurer team was sent to the military hospital with serious injuries. Not long after, the little witch doctor and Lin Feng returned to the military hospital. June 1st, Lin Feng went to the Qin Imperial City and entered the floating elemental island with the elites of the Qin Imperial region. August 31st, Lin Feng returned to the Qin Imperial City and was appointed as the Business Alliance envoy. He piloted the savage fighter into the Qinling Mountains. The 5 giants of ancient Huaxia. Their technology and intelligence-gathering abilities were naturally extraordinary. Other than the news on the floating elemental island, as long as it happened in the city, they could find out. Monster. Jian Cho sighed. All the savage-level experts were speechless. What kind of terrifying monster was this? It was unheard of. In just 9 months he had crossed the critical line. From an ordinary person with a brain region that had degenerated to 5%, he had grown to the level of a Business Alliance envoy. Furthermore, this was not a title that was casually given to him. He had real strength. He killed the savage-level expert Xiaoying. Damn it! Yi Sun gritted his teeth. He had killed Ziyu to vent his anger. 3 months ago, when he was searching for the culprit, he had seen Lin Feng's name because he had crossed swords with Jie. However, he was too weak. Secondly, he couldn't find any information about Lin Feng. Thirdly, he was looking in the wrong direction. His attention was focused on the expert who had stolen the Great Earth Purple Dew. He had neglected Lin Feng, the weakling who had died at that time. Motive, strength, everything is there. Jian Chao's face was solemn. If there are too many coincidences, they are definitely not coincidences. Yi Sun's killing intent was obvious. 3 months ago, he should have left on the little witch doctor's fighter. I didn't expect the 2 of them to be related. Maybe the little witch doctor had something to do with Jie Er's death. But no matter what, Lin Feng is definitely the main culprit. Jian Cho nodded. He should be nearby. Search. Yi Sun's veins were bulging. He roared, even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, I will dig him out. Send him to hell. Chapter 170. Huashan Region. Lin Feng continued walking. With Huashan as the center, the beginner savage monsters appear within a radius of 50 to 100 miles. Now, the best place for me to train should be within a radius of 20 to 50 miles. Middle-level savage monsters appear. There were also a large number of beginner savage monsters and a small number of advanced savage monsters. When Soul of the Earth reaches the 4th level, my strength will increase by leaps and bounds. By then, I will be able to enter within a radius of 20 miles. Lin Feng's goal was very clear. Step by step, training step by step. His final destination was Huashan. Of course, there was a huge risk there, because there was a Sea King level monster on Huashan. My current strength is equivalent to the most ordinary merchant alliance envoy. Lin Feng knew very well that the reason why he could kill the savage-level powerhouse without getting hurt was because of the opponent's carelessness. Otherwise, he would have to expend a lot of energy in a face-to-face battle. But my defense is very strong now. Lin Feng smiled. A layer of Geno armor enhanced by the titanium heart and a layer of sacred scale armor, double defense and weakening. In the previous battle, although he was knocked back in the air, the recoil was very weak after being weakened. That was why he had the strength to attack again. My attack power is not strong enough. If I can master the saber intent of the second move, firewood burying fire, I can kill him in one move. Or the fourth move, blazing thunder, can reach the beginner level. Take it slow. It's only the first day. The training of the saber couldn't be done overnight. The fastest way to improve was to challenge and fight again. Lin Feng knew very well that he had an unyielding fighting spirit and perseverance. He kept training hard. In his body there was the same passion as his brother Lin Zhan. He thirsted for challenges and was fearless. 3 days later. I still haven't found him. Yi Sun's face was pale. After searching for 3 days, there was no trace of Lin Feng. 10 savage-level powerhouses. Plus, he and Jian Chou had scanned the entire region countless times. Did you find the fighter jet signal? Yi Sun's voice was filled with anger. No. The bespectacled man's eyes were bloodshot. He did not use a fighter jet. Secondly, his fighter jet is equipped with an anti-detection system. Damn it. Yi Sun clenched his fists tightly. Jian Chou said in a deep voice. He might have already gone deep into the Huashan region. Since he was able to kill Qiu Ying so easily, his strength should be at the middle savage realm. Yi Sun nodded. Call Abao. The 3 of us will go inside. The rest of you continue searching here. All right, Jian Chou replied. Accumulating firewood to build a fire. Again. Boom. Lin Feng held the black dragon saber in his hand, as if he had gone mad. Slash after slash, the black dragon seemed to be burning in flames. Every slash was filled with the terrifying power of fire. The energy of heaven and earth and the spirit chi exploded together. There were dozens of high-level beast king corpses and quite a few savage beasts. The strongest one was a middle-level savage beast, the white-browed golden tiger. At this moment, he was roaring as he retreated. Lin Feng's fighting spirit was boundless. His tiny figure was insignificant among the large number of elemental beasts. However, he and his saber were overbearing. His Geno armor was completely red. There was blood at the corner of Lin Feng's mouth. Facing so many elemental beasts, it was inevitable that he would be injured. This, in itself, was a kind of challenge. In the combat strength testing space, one could indeed test an unlimited number of times. However, there was no pressure of death, and one could completely disregard death. This, in itself, was unreasonable. In a real battle, one only had one life. Roar! The white-browed golden tiger roared furiously. Its golden fur had already been dyed red. It was badly injured. There was deep fear in its eyes. The white-browed golden tiger was the strongest among the middle-level savage beasts. However, it was forced to this point. Roar! The white-browed golden tiger kept retreating. In an instant it turned and ran like the wind. It was intelligent. Want to leave? Lin Feng shouted coldly. The black dragon saber in his hand drew a shocking arc. It was as fast as lightning. The flaming saber chi instantly erupted with terrifying power. It penetrated like a bolt of lightning, and the fire rose like smoke. The first move of flaming saber, lightning flint. The only proficient level. Roar! The white-browed golden tiger was directly hit. Its butt was on fire. It was extremely tragic. It's over. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. From the moment it ran away, it had already lost. Phew! Lin Feng held his saber and panted. This battle had consumed nearly 70% of his strength. If it weren't for yesterday's lightning flint saber will reaching proficiency, this battle would have been even more tragic. Even the saber technique has improved to the 4th realm. The continuous tempering of saber techniques could lead to the improvement of the saber technique realm. It was like reading a book 100 times. Especially high-level saber techniques, one had to understand the saber technique realm. It's difficult. High-level saber techniques not only require comprehension, but also a strong saber technique realm. The last 2 moves of Flaming Saber are too difficult to understand at the 4th realm. The longer one practiced with saber, the clearer it was. It was a feeling of wanting but not being able to do it. However, the first 3 moves of Flaming Saber could be comprehended at the 4th realm until they were perfect. Lin Feng was very sure of this. The improvement of the saber technique realm is too vague. Comprehending saber intent and improving the saber technique realm is the right path for now. Lin Feng tightened his grip on the Black Dragon battle saber. He had a feeling that once he comprehended the first 3 moves to perfection, his saber technique realm would not only reach the peak of the 4th realm, but it might even break through and reach the 5th realm. First, I'll practice the second move, firewood accumulation, to proficiency. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. This feeling was already very deep. Under the guidance of the first move, lightning flint, his comprehension of firewood accumulation became deeper and deeper. There were many similarities between saber intent. It was a pity that the white-browed golden tiger had escaped just now. Otherwise, if he continued to fight, he might expand his saber intent and reach proficiency. Lin Feng frowned. He looked up and saw a red-haired man wearing an elemental battle suit on a hill not far away. The red-haired man was staring at him with an astonished expression. Middle-level Savage Realm expert Lai Bao. It's him, Lin Feng. It must be him. Lai Bao's expression changed. He had seen Lin Feng's image, and remembered him very clearly. When they went deep into Huashan, he, Jianchou, and clan leader Yi Sun had split into 3 groups to search. Who would have thought he would be the first to find Lin Feng? But Lai Bao was overjoyed as he pressed the crystal watch. Lin Feng's eyes brightened. He saw Lai Bao's actions from afar. Lin Feng was confused. Although he did not know why the red-haired man pressed the button on the crystal watch, when he glanced over, he saw the unique symbol on the man's elemental battle suit. Lin Feng was shocked. This is the Yi family? 4th update. Little Xiao Xiao, continue to work hard tomorrow. To be continued. Chapter 171. Lin Feng had always been on guard against the Yi family. Compared to the threat of the Yinshang family, the Yi family was undoubtedly much smaller. However, they could not be ignored either. Ancient Huaxia had 5 recognized giants, 8 families, and 4 dojos. Each of them had a Sea King level expert. The Yi family's patriarch, Yi Sun, had been stuck at the advanced savage level for a long time. He still needed a bit of luck and opportunity to break through to become a Sea King level expert. Even so, Yi Sun's strength had been growing steadily over the years. Now, his strength was not inferior to a beginner Sea King level expert. The Yi family has 1 advanced savage level expert, 3 mid-level savage lords and 12 initial level savage lord. This red-haired man is probably one of the 3 intermediate savage level experts, Lai Bao. Lin Feng reacted instantly. The information about the Yi family was not a secret. He had learned about it on the floating elemental island. It's the dragon-killing island. Lin Feng was shocked. Yi Sun's sister was married to the patriarch of the Yi family. The Yi family had a close relationship with the dragon-killing island. Just now, someone must have slipped through the net. Let's go. Lin Feng immediately fled. Lai Bao's strength was unknown. Not to mention, he had just pressed the button on his crystal watch and most likely informed his accomplices. Once surrounded, he would be in big trouble. Not to mention others, he was no match for Yi Sun alone. Swish! Lai Bao chased after him rapidly. Flames burned under his feet as he followed like a cheetah. Lin Feng's expression changed instantly. So fast. The E family has 3 intermediate savage level expert. The strongest is Jian Chou and the second is Lai Bao. Lin Feng sped forward. His speed was now at the beginner savage level. With the enhancement of the titanium gene combat boots, his speed was only at the peak of the intermediate savage level. With the same spirit energy explosion, his speed was indeed faster than Lai Bao's. However, he could not widen the distance between them. Unless I encounter an intermediate savage level monster, I will not be able to shake him off. Lin Feng instantly determined. In a split second, flaming tree silver flower. Lin Feng gathered spiritual qi in his hands and turned around abruptly. 6 invisible flaming saber energies instantly burst out and attacked Lai Bao from a distance. Lai Bao's lips curled up into a cold smile. His figure flashed, and the flames contained the mysteries of Taoism. He luo bewildering steps, lightning flint. Lin Feng's saber energy rose again. Art of the 3 flames returned to the origin, fire dragon drill. Fierce leopard's body was like a fire dragon as flames rose behind him. It was a lightning-fast stone that went straight for Lin Feng. In an instant, the 2 flames collided violently. Lin Feng did not gain any advantage. The distance between them still couldn't be reduced. We can't leave. Lin Feng was already very clear. His opponent's strength was on par with his own, so unless he killed or seriously injured him, there was no way he could escape from his pursuit. Heaven-ranked mantra, the art of 3 fires. Lin Feng clearly recognized that this was the 3rd level of Shen Gongbao's supreme art from the Shang dynasty. The first layer was a top-grade earth-rank item, while the second layer was already a heaven-rank item. Clang! The black dragon unsheathed his saber, and Lin Feng turned around to attack Lai Bao. The 2 moves just now were to increase the distance between them and to test Lai Bao's strength. His opponent was good at speed. His dodging was excellent, but his attack power was not as strong as he had imagined. Lai Bao probably only cultivated the first layer of the art of 3 fires returned to the origin. The supreme art of the Shang dynasty. Even if they shared it with the Yi clan, they would only give them the first 2 layers. Lai Bao does not have the surname Yi, so it is impossible for him to obtain all the supreme arts. Lin Feng was very clear. Heaven-ranked mantra. It was very precious. Indeed, his strongest move, the lightning flint, was only on par with Lai Bao. However, that was not the case. The lightning flint was the same as the fiery tree silver flower. The longer the distance, the weaker the power. Moreover, this was only his strength as an ancient martial artist. The current him was far more than this. Seeing that Lin Feng was attacking him, Lai Bao revealed a disdainful smile. He had seen through Lin Feng's strength from the 2 moves just now. Indeed, he was not bad among the beginner Savage Realm experts, but among the intermediate Savage Realm experts, just as he was full of confidence, Lai Bao's expression suddenly changed. Super Heavy Titanium Domain, first layer. Lin Feng circulated his titanium force to the limit, causing the surrounding soil to collapse instantly. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him, causing his chest to feel stuffy. Lai Bao immediately felt his body becoming extremely heavy. However, Lin Feng's attack arrived in an instant. Qi. The saber light was extremely fast, carrying a shocking flame. What's going on? Although Lai Bao was shocked, his battle reaction was very fast. The flame behind him soared to the sky. Compared to Lin Feng's flaming saber, Lai Bao was a true fire expert. His spirit energy rapidly condensed and his strength exploded. Fire Dragon Drill. The fire dragon roared and clashed with the black dragon. Bang! They were neck and neck. However, lightning flint. Lin Feng's saber was as fast as a shooting star. He suppressed the rebounding force and relied on the pressure of the super heavy titanium domain. He relied on the double defense of the level Geno armor and sacred scale armor to attack Lai Bao. Lai Bao's expression was ugly. Before he could recover from the momentum of his body, the flaming saber energy came again. Damn it! Fire Dragon Drill. Lai Bao gathered his strength again, but this time, he had less spirit energy than before. Boom! He was blasted back. Lin Feng was not going to let him go. The super-heavy titanium domain made Lai Bao feel like he was shackled, and he could not escape. Lai Bao's expression was extremely ugly. He used all his strength. Fire Dragon Double Drill. Its power and destructive power were far greater than before. He sacrificed speed to bring enough power. But, sizzle! The saber with titanium force was still as fast as a shooting star. The flames roared. Lin Feng's fighting spirit was endless. Boom! 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 Lai Bao was trapped in an endless cycle. Saber after saber, the elemental battle armor on his body had long been shattered. He could not move at all. He was best at the Hulua perplexing step, but it was useless now. His opponent was like an indestructible diamond, not giving him any chance to breathe. No. Impossible! Lai Bao's face was pale, but it was not as pale as Lin Feng's. He was also forced into a desperate situation. Lin Feng, who had just gone through a big battle, had consumed a lot of spirit energy. The only good thing was that his titanium force was full. Lin Feng was tenaciously holding on. In the blink of an eye, Lin Feng's fighting spirit was monstrous. Lai Bao was completely at a disadvantage due to the suppression of his aura. Lin Feng focused on the eruption of extreme strength. Every saber attack of his increased the advantage. Boom! Saber intent grew in his heart. This feeling surged in his heart, like a painting unfolding in front of him. Firewood fire. Lin Feng's saber slowed down. However, the flames on the saber seemed to be alive. The flames engulfing the sky covered Lai Bao. Lai Bao's flames, which had the upper hand time and time again, were suppressed for the first time. It was also the last time. Boom! The berserk saber energy carried with it an endless amount of recoil. The monstrous flames were like the immovable wisdom king behind Lin Feng. The flames reflected the unwillingness in Lai Bao's eyes. Along with Lin Feng's determination, the flames shattered Lai Bao's elemental battlesuit, which was already in tatters, as well as his will to fight. Bang! The flames were monstrous and dazzling. Lai Bao was dead. In the sky, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Lin Feng's face was extremely pale. Just by listening to the terrifying sound, he knew that his opponent was a super existence who had awakened a talent spirit. All around him was a vast plain. He had no way to escape. Chapter 172. Fight? His spirit chi had been depleted and 80% of his titanium power had been consumed. How could Lin Feng still have the strength to fight? Go! Lin Feng's face was pale as he retreated quickly. An energy capsule appeared in his hand and he swallowed it. Indeed, he could try to go underground and take a gamble, but the risk was too high. Once he was discovered, he wouldn't even have a chance to fight. Although the surroundings were flat ground, at least, there was still a way out. There is a lake. Lin Feng was very familiar with the surrounding environment. Other warriors might be afraid of lakes and rivers, but to Lin Feng, this was his lucky place. Because of that river, he was able to enter the Qin Emperor's mausoleum. After that, he trained in the floating elemental island in the West Lake world. Lin Feng was very experienced in fighting underwater. With a talent spirit, his power would be greatly reduced in water. Lin Feng was very clear. Fierce leopard. A hoarse and painful voice faintly came from behind. Lin Feng didn't look back and ran quickly. Almost instantly, there was a piercing sound behind him. Lin Feng felt a chill down his spine. Clearly, the other party had already sensed his presence. An expert with a talent spirit had a rather frightening perception. He was chasing after him. It's Jian Chou. Lin Feng heard the sound of a flying sword piercing through the air. Jian Chou was the Yi family's second strongest warrior, Yi Sun. Although he was an intermediate savage warrior, he definitely had the power of an advanced savage warrior. Even if he was in perfect condition, it would be difficult for him to defeat Jian Chou, let alone Lu Qing, who had less than 10% of his power left. Flying sword. It could restrain the super-heavy titanium region. Faster! Faster! He swallowed the energy capsule and kept transforming it into titanium power. Of course, it couldn't be recovered instantly. It would take a long time, but at least it slowed down the consumption of titanium power. Feeling the titanium power growing in his body, Lin Feng used the strongest enhancement from his level genetic combat boot. He was very fast. However, the piercing sound behind him became clearer. Jian Chou's speed was faster than his. He was coming. Die. Lin Feng's expression changed when he heard the deep voice of the Grim Reaper behind him. 2 flying swords, one on the left and one on the right. As fast as lightning. Ta. Lin Feng suddenly stood still. Lightning flint. This was an all-out attack. Lin Feng's Black Dragon saber was less aggressive and more defensive. Borrowing power. Bang. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. The power of the flying sword was several times stronger than Fierce Leopard's attack. Lin Feng groaned. He was blasted away. The scary power went straight for his chest. It was weakened by the Geno armor and absorbed by the Holy Scale Coat. Lin Feng was gambling. He was betting on the sacred scale coat's strong defense to protect him from death. Bang! Lin Feng spat out a mouthful of blood. His speed increased once again. Run! Swoosh! Jian Chou flew over on his flying sword, and a hint of shock flashed past his ugly, pockmarked face. Facing his flying sword head-on, he still had the strength to escape? One chased while the other fled. Pung! Pung! Lin Feng was hit by 2 more flying swords, and his injuries worsened. Even with the sacred scale coat blocking, the impact was still inside his body. His organs churned violently, and a small part of his body was still able to withstand the impact after being weakened twice. But Lin Feng finally saw the light. Fighting Jian Chou's flying sword head-on, Lin Feng's eyes flashed with an unyielding fighting spirit as he landed in the middle of the lake. Gulp! Gulp! The lake water entered his stomach, and Lin Feng's injuries were not light. However, the lake water also contained a lot of energy. It contained a small amount of spirit qi. The elemental beasts in the lake all grew up drinking the lake water, and their bodies contained crystal cores. Within Lin Feng's body, the earth soul was already full. It slowly spun and absorbed the lake water's energy. It was like a thin needle piercing a balloon. Battle after battle. After narrowly escaping death, Lin Feng endured the pain and fell to the bottom of the lake. His body suddenly exploded with a bang, and a surge of energy appeared spontaneously. The spirit qi in the surroundings surged in like a tide. The entire lake formed a huge whirlpool, and the spirit qi in the lake water was absorbed. Boom! 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 The earth soul collapsed. The essence of energy scattered out. The earth soul, which was 10% the size of his dantian, turned into golden transparent threads like spider silk. There were a total of 12 threads, and they connected the entire dantian with the remaining earth soul core, like the various arteries of the heart. The change was at this moment. Powerful spirit qi quickly surged in, strengthening Lin Feng's body, cells, and bones. The impact transformed him. Whoosh! 2 flying swords formed a straight line from the whirlpool above, and like thunder, they pierced Lin Feng's head. Accumulating firewood for fire. Lin Feng instantly struck with his blade. In a short moment, the spirit qi had recovered a lot. His strong willpower supported the intense pain in his body, and Lin Feng struck with his blade at the proficient level. Endless flames from the blade collided with the 2 flying swords. Puff! Spitting out blood, Lin Feng sank to the bottom of the lake. His dantian was still transforming, and his body was like a bottomless pit, absorbing the spirit chi. His skin was tough, his cells were dividing, and his bones and meridians were continuously strengthening. Ta! He landed on the lake. Jian Chou frowned, staring at the intense whirlpool in the lake. It was like a huge funnel, filled with a powerful suction force. Jian Chou, who had reached the 4th stage of his spirit talent, was much stronger than Lai Bao in all aspects. However, Lin Feng had escaped into the lake. Should he chase him? His flying sword's power in the lake was less than 10% of the power on land. Chase. Jian Chou's eyes were cold. We can't give him any chance to live. Jian Chou entered the lake with his flying sword. Jian Chou was confident in his own strength. At least in the lake, he would have no problem staying alive. In the lake, there were no savage-level monsters around Lin Feng. An astonishing amount of spirit chi surrounded him, and the savage-level monsters avoided him. Monsters were all intelligent, and they would not ask for trouble at this time. Lin Feng's eyes flashed as he felt the continuously changing power in his body. The injuries caused by the fight with Lai Bao and Jian Chou had long since healed. Spiritual chi itself was the best healing energy. In a short period of time, his dantian had undergone a tremendous change. The spirit of the earth, which was originally stored in his dantian, had now merged perfectly with his dantian. It was like a golden, transparent cocoon floating in the center of his dantian. 12 golden threads connected the transformed spirit of the earth's core to his dantian. The 4th stage of the spirit of the earth is the symbol of a savage-level monster. Only a strong enough body and power can withstand a strong enough it. Now, the spirit of the earth has truly become a part of my body. Lin Feng was overjoyed. The transformed spirit of the earth gathered spirit chi again. His body absorbed a large amount of spirit chi, and the commotion was even greater than when he broke through to the 3rd stage. The effects were even more obvious. The strengthening of his cells and bones, the toughness of his meridians, and even the increase of his mind expanse. All of these caused his strength to undergo a huge transformation. Suddenly, Lin Feng was stunned. He vaguely felt that something was wrong in his mind. In an instant, as if he was stimulated by something, Lin Feng raised his head abruptly and felt a powerful force approaching him. He was here again. Second update to be continued. Chapter 173. Hua. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. If they were on land, he might be afraid of Jian Chou, but here they were in the water. After breaking through to the 4th stage of the soul of the earth, not only did his spirit energy recover, but it was also 10 times denser than before. Although the soul of the earth had shrunk to 1/10 of its original size, this was a process of purification. It was like condensing the essence of an elemental crystal to become an elemental core. The more refined it was, the more power it could withstand. Little fish swim. In the water, Lin Feng was like a fish in water. Wisdom King Buyuan was not as skilled as Little Fish Swim. In the water, Little Fish Swim could exhibit a level of body intent that exceeded the standard. Doubtful sounds came from above. Obviously, they had lost their target. At this moment, Lin Feng was also shocked in his heart. Could it be that what he sensed in his mind was, there was no time to think, because Jian Chou's flying sword was coming. Good timing. Lin Feng was full of fighting spirit. His minor phaseless technique could finally fully exhibit the power of a top-grade earth-rank technique. At this moment, the energy of heaven and earth in his body had already dispersed. His dantian was connected to the soul of the earth. The speed of gathering spirit energy was several times faster than before. The amount of spirit energy gathered was also far greater than before. His dantian had already become a part of the soul of the earth. Without a layer of intermediary, the soul of the earth was now directly connected to his meridians. It was naturally different. Fire would fire. Lin Feng's saber was burning with flames. From passive to active, He brought out the second move of the flaming saber technique, which was at the proficient level. He instantly suppressed Jian Chou. In the water, the flying sword's power was greatly reduced. However, Jian Chou was not an expert. He could control it from a distance to attack and defend. Break! Lin Feng's spirit energy exploded. It was the same move, but the power was 5 times stronger than before. And this was only the transformation of his spirit energy. It was already enough. Wait until my body finishes absorbing the spirit energy. My attack power will definitely increase by several times. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. The black dragon battle saber in his hand was unforgiving. Another move, Firewood Fire, went straight for the retreating flying sword. Every attack, it consumed Jian Chou's spirit energy. Purring! He broke out of the lake. Jian Chou's expression was somewhat unsightly. The 2 flying swords circled around him in midair, and one of them swayed slightly. He was forced to retreat by Lin Feng. This brat has such strong battle prowess in the water. Jian Chou's face was originally very ugly, but now it looked even more ferocious. The obstruction in the water was too great. Not only was he unable to lock onto Lin Feng's position, but his long-range attacks were also greatly reduced. Although he was an ancient martial artist, he had been training his spiritual power and flying sword techniques ever since he reached the savage level. Close combat was not his forte, and he was not even as good as Lai Bao. Damn it! Why isn't Big Brother here yet? Jian Chou glanced at the crystal watch. His eyes lit up. At this very moment, boom! Water splashed in all directions. Lin Feng instantly broke out of the lake. Holding the black dragon saber in his hand, Lin Feng's flaming saber energy blasted out almost instantly. Lin Feng's battle intent was boundless. Flaming tree silver flowers. The immovable wisdom king appeared behind him, and it was like a hot knife cutting through butter. After continuous battles, his comprehension of the saber will seem to have opened up the conception and governing vessels. At this moment, Lin Feng's comprehension of flaming tree silver flowers had already reached mastery. Immediately after, the second move, accumulating firewood fire, had also reached the proficient level. Chi, 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 chi. The same 6 flaming saber energies could be easily resolved by Lai Bao previously. He relied on his perfect body intent, but Jian Chou was not good at body intent. Controlling the 2 flying swords to attack the 6 flaming saber energies, Jian Chou's face was pale as he retreated. Controlling the flying swords consumed his spiritual power. The soul of the earth cultivated spiritual power. The soul of the innate talent cultivated spiritual power. It was formless but had a form. A head-on clash? Lin Feng was not afraid at all. Previously, he had consumed a lot of spiritual power. But now, not only was his spiritual power abnormally abundant, it was also constantly absorbing the spiritual power from the surroundings. The spiritual power that was consumed was instantly replenished. He was not afraid of consuming spiritual power at all. After using 2 consecutive flaming tree silver flowers, he released his spiritual power. Jian Chou was on the verge of collapse. Ta! Lin Feng stepped on the lake and instantly landed on the ground, flying out. Close combat was his forte. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 flying swords attacked Lin Feng again. But this time, they did not injure Lin Feng at all. Jian Chou's face was deathly pale. He had consumed a lot of spiritual power. Gritting his teeth, he did not care about his face anymore. The flying sword streaked across the sky, leaving behind afterimages as Jian Chou fled. Whoosh! Lin Feng quickly chased after him. With the enhancement of the A-class Jean combat boots and the addition of spiritual power, his speed instantly increased. But he was completely left behind. What a fast flying speed! Lin Feng was speechless. Jian Chou's flying speed was at least twice as fast as his. Not to mention, the flying swords could fly in the air. Even if he wanted to catch up, it would be too late. Phew! Lin Feng exhaled softly. Feeling the abnormally abundant spiritual power in his body, he smiled. Very powerful. Soul of the Earth had reached the 4th stage. He had finally been reborn. In essence, he was already a savage-level expert. The bottleneck had been broken. Lai Bao and Jian Chou, the 2 mid-level savage-level experts from the Yi family, have arrived. Lin Feng looked in the direction where Jian Chou left and thought to himself, Yi Sun and Yi Yiming might be nearby. Lin Feng was very clear about the Yi family's experts. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Yi Yiming's strength is on par with Lai Bao. There is nothing to worry about. It will be troublesome if he joins forces with Jian Chou. The most dangerous one is Yi Sun. Lin Feng nodded. A man who was infinitely close to the Sea King level. He was the Yi family's strongest expert. My current strength is at the high-level savage level. Lin Feng instantly judged that it was normal for him to defeat Jian Chou. After all, Jian Chou was only at the mid-level savage level. Moreover, Lin Feng had the advantage of having infinite spiritual power. However, Yi Sun was one of the best among the high-level savage-level expert. His strength was equivalent to a low-level Sea King. To fight against him, Lin Feng was not strong enough. There is no need. Lin Feng understood in his heart. Once Yi Sun and Jian Chou joined forces, Lin Feng would not be able to escape. In midair, Jian Chou looked around vigilantly and spread his spiritual power. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he turned his head. Not far away, a figure with red dragon tattoos appeared like thunder and lightning. Where is he? Yi Sun's eyes were spitting fire. He had just found Lai Bao's corpse. The Yi family only had 3 mid-level savage-level experts. Every death was a huge loss. Big brother, let's go. Although Jian Chou's expression was ugly, his spiritual power was not exhausted. Yi Sun instantly stepped on his flying sword. With the addition of his spiritual power, the flying sword broke through the air. Even you are not his match? Although Yi Sun was angry, he was shocked. An 18-year-old monstrous genius. His attack power is very strong. Jian Chou's voice was hoarse and weak. I am not his match. However, with your strength, killing him will be easy. He must die. Yi Sun already felt a strong threat. He was already so terrifying. Next time, who knew what level his strength would rise to? He could not allow a tiger to grow. Beside the lake, swoosh, 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 the flying sword shuttled back and forth. Jian Chou's expression was gloomy and ugly. His bumpy face looked even uglier. Damn it! Yi Sun's eyes were about to crack. His terrifying power could not be stopped. He was extremely angry. In less than a minute, Lin Feng had disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng, I will not let you go! Yi Sun roared furiously. Chapter 174. At the bottom of the lake, Yi Sun really came. Lin Feng turned off the crystal watch. He had guessed that Jian Chou would bring back reinforcements, so he left a crystal watch beside the lake. Now that he had confirmed Yi Sun's existence, it was reasonable. Lin Feng swam like a small fish, shuttling back and forth at the bottom of the lake. The most important thing now was to find a place to hide. It was not wise to show up now. There will be plenty of time. I will fight him slowly. They split into 2 groups. Yi Sun and Jian Chou once again started a carpet search, chasing after Lin Feng. But the 2 of them obviously did not expect that Lin Feng, who was so far away, would be right in front of them, hiding in the lake where danger lurked everywhere. Although this place was 30 li away from Huashan, the strength of the monsters in the lake varied. Even if there was no Sea King-level monster, a high-level savage monster in the water could not be underestimated. Why would a normal person hide in the lake? But Lin Feng did not care. In the water, he could still display his strength. Especially now that the spirit of the earth had reached the 4th stage, as long as he did not encounter a Sea King-level monster, He would definitely be able to fight against a high-level savage monster. But Lin Feng's luck was not bad. After swimming at the bottom of the lake for half an hour, he only met a middle-level savage monster, and then found a lake cave. Soon, flying fish turn. Lin Feng opened a passage. There were many natural lake caves like this in the lake. If he chose any one and continued to open it, he would be able to find a place to hide. Just like when he was in the Qin Emperor's mausoleum, he could attack or retreat. 3 hours later. Here it is. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. He opened up a space of about 100 square meters, which was already big enough. Bang! The capsule alloy house instantly appeared, and Lin Feng immediately entered. The lake cave passage had been destroyed by him dozens of times, and it was already difficult to tell the direction. If Yi Sun could still find it, then his luck was heaven-defying. Lin Feng's heart was finally at ease. Although the capsule alloy house was small, it had everything he needed. He took out the hardtack. Putting it in his mouth, Lin Feng immediately turned on the crystal watch. He connected to a video call with his mother and sister. "Okay, Mom. Don't worry, I'm fine. Well, it might be a long time, maybe a few months. That's right. We've just been promoted to Merchant Alliance Envoy. Naturally, we're treated differently. It will get better in the future, Definitely." Chatting with his family warmed Lin Feng's heart. Family. It was for a lifetime. Ling. Lin Feng smiled and dialed Ling Er's number. This was different from familial love. Big brother Lin Feng, Ling Er's beautiful figure appeared in the video projection. She was wearing a simple loose t-shirt and hot pants. She was youthful and beautiful, and she had a sweet smile on her face. It was September and the weather was still hot, but looking at Ling Lin Feng felt a chill in his heart. "You're wearing so little," Lin Feng said with a smile. "I just finished bathing," Ling said with a smile. "Look, I haven't had time to dry my hair. By the way, big brother Lin, Dad said that many savage grades and even sea kings have entered the Qinling Mountains. You must be careful." Ling Er's beautiful eyes sparkled. She was extremely worried. "Well, don't worry." Lin Feng smiled and said, "I'm very strong now." The spirit of the earth had broken through to the 4th stage, and now he was also a savage-level existence. Of course, Big Brother Lin is the Business Alliance Envoy. Ling smiled sweetly. With a proud face, she said, "The brothers and sisters in the 3rd district all said that I have good taste and picked the right person. Many people on the floating elemental island also said that we are a perfect match. We are a match made in heaven." "Is that so?" Lin Feng smiled. At that time, the rumors on the floating elemental island were all about a fresh flower stuck in cow dung. By the way, Lin Feng suddenly remembered. Ling said softly, "Help me find information about the spirit of the talent." Lin Feng looked at Ling. "The more detailed, the better." "Ah." Ling covered her mouth and was very curious. Lin Feng smiled slightly. "Nothing. It's just that my spirit of the talent seems to have awakened." The spirit of the talent. It was very rare, much rarer than the spirit of the earth. Similar to the spirit of the earth, the spirit of the talent was awakened at 5%. 30% was the first stage, 35% was the second stage, 40% was the third stage, and 50% was the fourth stage. Lin Feng turned on the superbrain and carefully read the information Ling gave him. Indeed, it was very similar to the spirit of the earth. However, those who awakened the spirit of the talent were usually Jin warriors. Not necessarily. Jian Chou was also an ancient warrior. Lin Feng continued reading. As he knew, because the absorption of the Jin fluid increased the percentage of the 3 souls and 7 spirits in all aspects, compared to ancient warriors who focused on improving their martial spirits, the chances of awakening the spirit of the talent were much higher. In fact, the chances of awakening the spirit of the earth were also much higher. However, The number of ancient warriors was far from what Jin warriors could compare to. In particular, with the prevalence of the ancient martial era and the inheritance of the ancient families of ancient Huaxia, the number of savage-level powerhouses and ancient warriors far exceeded that of Jin warriors. However, it was undeniable that the Jin warriors' strength increased rapidly, causing the country's decline after the ancient martial era to quickly rebound and regain its position among the 7 major countries. Sacred Site, Bermuda Triangle, Lin Feng muttered to himself. Jin fluid. 10,000 bottles of Super Jin fluid can only produce 1 bottle of Spirit Power fluid. 100,000 bottles of Super Jin fluid can only produce 1 bottle of Spirit Power fluid. Lin Feng frowned slightly. It was too exaggerated. 1 bottle of Super Jin fluid was sold for 10 gold coins. 1 bottle of Spirit Power fluid was 100,000 gold coins. Even if it was calculated based on the purchase price, it would be at least 30,000 gold coins per bottle. If it was calculated based on the amount of Jin fluid absorbed, the gold coins would be consumed at a terrifying speed. The so-called meat is on the chopping board. Lin Feng shook his head. No wonder the country was so kind as to publicize the Jin warrior cultivation method obtained from the Bermuda Triangle sacred site. Only they knew the method of making the Jin fluid and Spirit Power fluid. 1 bottle of Super Jin fluid was sold for 10 gold coins. Who knew if the cost of making it was only 1 gold coin? Not to mention Spirit Power fluid. Moreover, the country at most sold Spirit Power fluid to the outside world, making money from other countries to cultivate more local geniuses. No wonder the country rose so quickly. Lin Feng sighed softly. Compared to ancient martial artists, Jin warriors' cultivation speed was recognized as fast, and there were no bottleneck. Everyone was selfish. Who didn't want to cultivate faster? Who didn't want to be stronger than others? In today's chaotic world, strength was king. He sat cross-legged. Lin Feng could clearly feel the existence of the sea of consciousness. It was boundless. The newly awakened innate soul was like a baby, lying in this vast ocean. The pure milky white light was like a tiny water droplet. While absorbing the Jin fluid's energy strengthened his body's genes, a portion of it increased his mind expanse, while the other portion was absorbed by the innate soul. The cultivation speed was very slow. In fact, Ling Er's cultivation speed wasn't fast either. She relied more on the ruin's energy. Compared to the improvement of Earth Soul, the difference is more than 10,000 times, Lin Feng thought to himself. They weren't on the same level at all. The awakening of Earth Soul was somewhat useless. Is there any way to increase the speed of my cultivation? Lin Feng fell into deep thought. I don't even have the face to see you, let alone ask for votes. To be honest, the adjustment is very painful. I'm often very tired and can't write. I also don't want to casually write. Forget it, it's all nonsense. I cover my face and continue writing. When the 5th update is restored, I will have the face to stand in front of you. To be continued. Chapter 175. Lin Feng's thoughts were very clear. What he saw in the Qin Emperor's mausoleum appeared in his mind. Li Xuanhuan, Li Garden Tanhua. Tired of fame, he abandoned his official position and lived in seclusion. People called him Tanhua. Sea King level expert, heartless spectrum, martial arts 10 scrolls of flying daggers. Long-range attack. Lin Feng remembered clearly that he was very interested in this back then. However, the cultivator needed to awaken the talent soul. Crouching Dragon Zhuge Liang of the Three Kingdoms period could control the wind and rain. Zhang Jiao of the Taiping Taoist sect was superb in the art of talismans. He cultivated the talent soul to the highest level. Later, Tang Imperial Preceptor Yuan Tiangang and Ming Grand Preceptor Lu Bowen were not inferior. Did they have the so-called Jin fluid and spiritual power fluid at that time? Lin Feng's eyes were bright. Ancient martial arts are broad and profound. Since it can absorb spiritual power with the Heart Sutra, Why can't spiritual power? For example, Li Xuanhuan's Heartless Spectrum is the Heart Sutra to absorb spiritual power. Because the meridians of the Gene Warriors are not open, they may not be able to cultivate the Heart Sutra, but, I'm an ancient martial artist. Lin Feng thought and immediately dialed the number of the Xia Business Alliance. Heartless Spectrum. It was divided into two parts. The first part was if the heavens were heartless, but the second part was people were. It reflected the life journey of Li Xuanhuan, a peerless genius. Each volume had 3 levels, a total of 6. The first level, the first stage of the talent soul cultivation. The second level, the second stage of the talent soul cultivation. The third level, the third stage of the talent soul cultivation. Lin Feng read it clearly. These were all revised during the war era. Because there were examples, they were more detailed. Although there were few ancient martial artists who awakened the talent soul, there were some who cultivated the heartless spectrum. The cultivation requirements were the same as the Heart Sutra's requirements for physical strength. After all, spiritual power was strong. It was invisible but better than visible. The Elemental Business Alliance only has the first part. The second part is owned by the country. There were very few cultivation methods for the talent soul. Although the Elemental Commerce Alliance had a complete set, it only reached the 4th stage of the talent soul, and the first 3 stages were not as good as the Heartless Manual. To Lin Feng, it was enough for his innate spirit to reach the 4th stage like the spirit of the earth. At the very least, the cultivation speed of the first 3 levels of the Heartless Spectrum was pretty good. Most importantly, he liked the 10 scrolls of flying knives that came with it very much. In the Qin Emperor's mausoleum, he had already taken a liking to her at first glance. Spiritual energy was an invisible force. Compared to spiritual energy, it was more illusory, mysterious, and powerful. Whoosh! He activated the first level of the emotionless spectrum and absorbed the mysterious power between heaven and earth. It was completely different from spiritual qi. This was a kind of pure power of nothingness, as if it was the polar opposite of spiritual qi. Like black and white, like the 2 poles of a magnetic field, they repelled each other and were incompatible within the body. It did not pass through his meridians. Lin Feng had guessed wrong about the absorption of spiritual power. Strands of nothingness power. It seeped into Zhang Xian's consciousness, making him unable to see it. However, he was still able to sense how powerful it was. They surrounded the infant-like innate talent soul like a nebula. Innate soul. I'm absorbing it. Lin Feng was very clear. From awakening to the first stage, it was a very fast process, because the newly awakened innate soul was very hungry. When the spirit of the earth was awakened to the first stage, it also did not take a long time. Soon, Lin Feng was immersed in cultivation. At this time, the spiritual energy brought by the spirit of the earth's transformation to the 4th stage. It was still tirelessly strengthening his body. Bit by bit, it became stronger. Lin Feng was in a period of leaps and bounds of strength. Hua Mountain area. Yisun and Jian Chou were looking for Lin Feng like crazy. But Hua Mountain's area was so big. With just the strength of 2 people, how weak was it? Damn it! Yisun's face was distorted. What was at stake now was not only the revenge of his son, Yirenjie, but also the face of the Yi family. Yisun's teeth creaked as he revealed his killing intent. Jian Chou. Contact Yiming immediately. No matter what method you use, capture Lin Feng's family for me. As the patriarch of the Yi family and the 4th shareholder of the First Bank of China, Yisun had absolute power and strength. He would not rest until he killed Lin Feng. Yes, big brother, Jian Chou replied in a deep voice. In the lake cave. Lin Feng opened his eyes. After 7 days and 7 nights of cultivation, he did not need to absorb the gene fluid. The absorption of spiritual energy was much stronger than the gene fluid. Now, the innate soul was dozens of times bigger than before. In the boundless sea of consciousness, the second stage of the sea of consciousness had changed from a small water droplet to a small water ball. It was spinning. Just like how the spirit of the earth absorbed spiritual energy, it absorbed the invisible and colorless spiritual energy. The transformation of the innate soul was huge. Soon I will be able to reach the third stage, Lin Feng thought. The first 3 stages were the fastest. Awakening was 25%, the first stage was 30%, the second stage was 35%, and the third stage was 40%. From awakening to the third stage, the total increase was 15%. Calculating the increase of the mind expanse, it was 1.5%. In addition to the spiritual energy from the spirit of the earth's transformation. My mind expanse now should have exceeded 40%. Savage level. There was no bottleneck because the bottleneck had been broken long ago. There was no need for the martial soul. Just like the awakening of the human soul when a human was born, the significance of the savage level was the awakening of either the innate soul or the spirit of the earth. Physical strength, central core, and essence. Soon, I will be able to transform from the third stage to the fourth stage. Lin Feng stood up. His strength was increasing every moment. The real savage level. Lin Feng smiled. Moreover, it was the awakening of both the innate soul and the spirit of the earth. Dual cultivation? Dual cultivation is very powerful. Lin Feng was very clear. The reason why he could become a savage-level expert in such a short time was inseparable from the dual cultivation. It was not that spiritual energy and spiritual energy did not clash. It was just that the positions of the cultivation were different. As long as he was proficient in the cultivation, it would be like his left and right hands doing 2 different things. Spiritual energy and spiritual energy could be absorbed at the same time. Naturally, the efficiency would be greatly increased. But before that, I'm hungry. Lin Feng took out the compressed biscuit. He had not eaten for 7 days and 7 nights. After talking to his family and Ling, Lin Feng smiled cheerfully. That was the warmth and sustenance of his soul. He turned off the crystal watch. Let's test the spiritual energy. Lin Feng tried to control the spiritual energy. In an instant, the glass cup floated in the air, as if it was tightly held by an invisible hand. Xiao! The glass cup flew out as fast as lightning. But, in midair, the glass cup shattered into pieces. So, this is spiritual energy. Lin Feng smiled. He could clearly feel the control of the glass cup. In his mind, Xiao Maxian's silver needles and Jian Chao's flying sword appeared. In fact, they were all the same. It was just that, his control was still far from enough. Take it slow. First, familiarize myself with the cultivation of spiritual energy. My first goal is to improve my mind expanse and physique. Lin Feng drank the water. In his heart, his goal was clear. After emptying the cup, Lin Feng was about to continue cultivating. Suddenly, the crystal watch lit up. Senior old wine pot? Lin Feng glanced at it. Chapter 176. The video was projected. Feng. Hu Jiu's expression was serious. What happened, Senior? Lin Feng could tell something was different from Old Wine Pot's expression. Old Wine Pot, who was always smiling, had a rare solemn expression. Did you offend someone? Hu Jiu asked worriedly. Lin Feng's heart sank. Hu Jiu sighed. Just now, 2 masked men barged into the Sunset Martial Arts Club. Many instructors and disciples were injured. They even showed mercy. Otherwise, even an old man like me would have to go to the hospital. Lin Feng frowned. He could tell that Old Wine Pot did not look well. They are looking for me? Lin Feng's eyes were cold. Maybe or maybe. Hu Jiu said in a low voice, they are looking for your family. Lin Feng nodded. I understand, Senior. Lin Feng's voice was cold. Old Wine Pot did not say it clearly, but it was obvious that the 2 masked men were savage-level masters. Only people at this level could be so unscrupulous and ignore the rules of the world. The ancient warrior alliance was not omnipotent. If his mother and sister were still living in the Sunset Martial Arts Club, they would have been kidnapped. Sai Hujiu picked up the wine pot and drank it all in one gulp. His face was full of vicissitudes of life. This old man is really old. Fortunately, little Feng, you had the foresight to take them away first. Otherwise, how am I going to face you with this old face of mine? How can I blame you, senior? Lin Feng shook his head. The other party was most likely from the Yi family. If it was not the Yi family, then it must be closely related to the Yi family, such as the dragon-killing island. I will take care of this. Lin Feng's voice was cold. A murderous look flashed in his eyes. It was really dangerous. If he had not sent his mother and sister to the elemental city in advance, a disaster would have befallen them. Apologize to the injured instructors and disciples for me. I got them into trouble. Medical fees. I will take full responsibility. Lin Feng felt guilty in his heart. No matter what, they were injured because of him. The medical bills are just a small matter. Hu Jiu's expression was solemn as he stared at Lin Feng. As for you, little Feng, you must be careful. The other party has a great background. I will, senior. Lin Feng revealed a gratified smile. From his tone and demeanor, he could feel the old wine pot's sincere concern. Turning off the microvideo projection, Lin Feng's smile instantly turned cold. The Yi family. He did not expect the Yi clan to be so ruthless. Hello. Manager Gongsun. Yes, please investigate this matter for me immediately. I'll wait for your news. Also, I'll have to trouble you with the Sunset Dojo. No problem. I'll definitely look for you when I return. Pa. Turn off the communication. Lin Feng's eyes were cold, and his heart was filled with killing intent. Fighting openly and covertly, as long as it was directed at him, it didn't matter. Irenjia wanted to kill him. Sure, as long as he has the ability. If Yi Sun wants to kill me, there is no problem, as long as he is strong enough. But family members should not be implicated. To think that the Yi family, a dignified family, would actually do such a despicable thing. Yi Sun. If we find out that it was really done by the Yi family, crack! Lin Feng's eyes were sharp, and the glass in his hand shattered into pieces. He had never been a soft-hearted person. Anger. Pressure. For many warriors, negative emotions were a burden. But for Lin Feng, it was a deep stimulation, turning pressure into motivation. Spirit energy. Spirit energy. From simple to difficult, Lin Feng adapted step by step. Compared to the absorption of spirit energy, Lin Feng was already very familiar with spirit energy. It was very easy to use the fourth level of the Nine Dragons scripture, but it was not easy to use the second level of the Ruthless Spectrum. But everything had to be improved step by step. Just like strength, he could already cultivate the fifth level of the Nine Dragons scripture. For the time being, Lin Feng did not intend to touch it because it would waste a lot of time, at least half a month. Right now, Yi Sun and Jian Chou were looking for him all over the world. Quickly improving his strength was the way to go. Hiding here did not mean that he would be safe. Everything would be fine for his mother and sister in Elemental City. There was always an exception to everything. Just like how he thought that he was absolutely safe in Sunset Martial Arts School. Faster! Faster! Lin Feng gritted his teeth. With all his focus and effort, the absorption of spirit energy sped up again and again. With the cultivation of the fourth level of the Nine Dragons scripture, spirit energy quickly strengthened his body. From the Battle Grandmaster level to the Savage level, the body would be greatly improved with spirit energy tempering. Although Lin Feng's body had already been strengthened by spirit energy, it was the first time for spirit energy. Moreover, the effects of the two were superimposed. Even better, the improvement of the talent spirit was not fast. Back then, Ling had to spend a lot of time relying on the energy of the ruins. Although Lin Feng's body was stronger now, his brain was wider, and his absorption of spirit energy was much higher than Ling Er's under the same circumstances, but there was no energy of the ruins here. Even so, the talent spirit was still slowly growing. With the multitasking of cultivation, Lin Feng's control of spirit energy also improved day by day. On the savage level road, Lin Feng slowly advanced. Every day he was improving. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days had passed. But this time, Lin Feng received a message from Supervisor Gongsun, and his only doubt disappeared. The Yi family was investigating him. Yi Sun, you will regret this. Lin Feng's expression was ice-cold. The third level. Hard work paid off. On the first day of entering Mount Hua, Lin Feng finally improved his talent spirit to the third level. Every level of improvement would bring about the tempering of spirit energy. It was slightly weaker than spirit energy, but Lin Feng's body foundation was extremely strong. Especially his physical strength, central nervous system, and spirit essence. With this period of cultivation, he had already entered the fourth level. Physical strength and body strength are definitely at the Sea King level. Even speed is one of the best in the advanced savage level. Lin Feng was very sure. For ancient martial artists, the body was the foundation of everything. Although he did not improve in other aspects during this period of time, his combat strength had basically reached the Sea King level. Spirit energy. Ruthless spectrum, third level. Qi. The sound of something piercing through the air was sharp. A dagger shot directly into the wall. It did not have a strong attack power, but speed was the priority. After the battle with Jian Chou, Lin Feng knew his weakness. If he was fast enough, he would be able to attack and defend. He would not be stuck in the lake cave now. Not fast enough. Again. Lin Feng kept practicing. Since he was sensible, he had been practicing with his elder brother. He was never afraid of any hardship. If he did not know how to do it, he would work hard until he did. Sword flight. It seemed difficult, but in fact, it was nothing more than that for experts who had awakened their talent spirits. This was the simplest control of spirit energy. The strength of spirit energy, the degree of condensation, the ability to control, and of course, the most important was the quality of the flying sword. The higher the quality, the more spirit energy it could withstand, and the stronger the speed. Just like a battle saber, it could not even withstand spirit energy, let alone unleash its power. I have almost mastered sword flight. Unfortunately, there is no suitable flying sword at the moment. With that thought in mind, Lin Feng suddenly thought, and the crystal watch flickered. Lin Feng's eyes lit up, and he instantly turned on the silencing function. It was the crystal watch that he had placed by the lake. Could this kid be hiding in the lake? Jian Chao's voice fell into his ears. Lin Feng's lips curled up. It was really effortless to obtain it. He had not even looked for him, but he had delivered himself to his door. Brothers and sisters, I will start to test the results of the adjustment tomorrow. On the first day of August, I will definitely send it to you. To be continued. Chapter 177. A total of 20 days. From the 4th of September to the 4th of September, Yi Sun and Jian Chou had searched the entire floor of Huashan. However, they did not find anything. Could this brat be hiding in the lake? Jian Chou looked at the lake, not knowing that his muttering was picked up by the crystal watch. Circling around the lake, Jian Chou hesitated for a moment, but still decided to enter the lake to investigate. No matter what, as long as there was a possibility, he had to try. Break. The two flying swords spun rapidly and broke open the lake. Jian Chou entered again. This time, he was much smarter. He did not restrain his spiritual power but released it, forming a vacuum around his body. The two flying swords circled around him. Jian Chou was even more cautious. After being tricked once, he would not be tricked again. Glancing at the crystal watch, he calmed down. Clan leader Yi Sun was not far away. If Lin Feng was really in the lake, then he could forget about escaping. Hua Lin Feng's figure reappeared in the lake cave. After 20 days, Lin Feng was no longer the same as before. The increase in his strength gave him confidence. I have to kill Jianzhou. At the very least, I have to severely injure him. Lin Feng was very clear. Once Jianzhou and Yi Sun joined hands, he would not even have the chance to escape. Although Jianzhou's defense was ordinary, his attack power and the special ability of his flying swords were too strong. He could kill his enemies without having to face them head-on. If they were on land, it would be extremely difficult for him to kill Jianzhou. Even now, it was still impossible. He was just a beginner in the art of sword manipulation. However, Jianzhou had immersed himself in cultivating his spiritual power for countless years. Now is the best opportunity. Lin Feng's body swam like a small fish and entered the lake in an instant. The hunter and the prey were opposite. Whoever was stronger could be called the hunter. The lake was not big. Jianzhou could not sense Lin Feng's location, but Lin Feng found Jianzhou first. Jianzhou's spiritual power. He was too big of a target. Fourth stage of spiritual power. Lin Feng could already make a clear judgment. Swimming like a small fish, his spiritual power was hidden to the extreme. He blended perfectly with the water. Lin Feng silently approached Jianzhou. 1 point. 1 point. The closer they got, the more likely they would be able to kill him. They searched everywhere. Jianzhou's spirit energy fused with the flying sword, making the flying sword his eyes. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two flying swords flew in all directions. Suddenly, Jianzhou's heart skipped a beat. His expression changed to one of shock. But in the blink of an eye, he turned into ecstasy. Almost without thinking, he pressed the button on his crystal watch and informed his elder brother, Yi Sun. After that, Jianzhou calmly went up, fighting Lin Feng in the water. He wasn't that stupid. He had achieved his goal of entering the lake. As long as he could retreat safely, his mission would be considered complete. But how could it be that easy? Collapse! The entire lake seemed to have sunk. The sudden change caught Jianzhou off guard. A terrifying, stifling feeling came from the top of the lake. The suction force from below combined with the water pressure and surged even more violently. Jianzhou's expression changed drastically, and he instantly felt an intense titanium force lock onto him. His body was as heavy as 1,000 caddies, and the pressure in the water was especially obvious. Super heavy titanium domain. Jianzhou was extremely shocked. It was still the first layer of the super heavy titanium domain. But this time, the power was greatly different. Because Lin Feng's soul essence was already at the fourth stage, the amount of titanium force that could be stored and released far surpassed that of the third stage. In the lake, there was a natural water pressure environment, and it was more suitable for the environment. Trying to escape? Jianzhou's every move was under Lin Feng's supervision. On land, the super heavy titanium domain might not be able to lock Jianzhou down, but in the lake, Jianzhou was completely at the center of the super heavy titanium domain. Even though he had an extremely powerful flying sword technique, he was still caught red-handed. Jianzhou's expression was extremely terrified. He never thought that Lin Feng would be able to use the super heavy titanium domain. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have taken such a huge risk. Chi! Chi! The two flying swords attacked Lin Feng. Jianzhou used all his strength to break free from the super heavy gravity, and released his spiritual energy to the limit. Flaming tree silver flower. Lin Feng's attack exploded. It was the same blade intent, and the same blade technique realm, but the power was completely different. The power of a sea king. Whether it was the blade force or the speed of the blade, they couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. Needless to say, there was also the true power of the savage level, titanium force. Bang! The two flying swords were instantly repelled. With just one move, it was clear that Lin Feng's strength had improved over the past 20 days. After using up 4 blade forces, the remaining 2 continued to attack Jian Chou, sparkling with flames. Jian Chou activated his strongest defense, but the flaming blade forces instantly broke through his defense. Even though Jian Chou released his spiritual energy to block them, a portion of the blade forces still broke through his elemental armor. Pooh! Jian Chou spat out a mouthful of blood and was heavily injured. Originally, defense wasn't his forte. Bang! Jian Chou, who had suffered a strong impact, instantly escaped from the super-heavy titanium domain. He forced himself to take a breath, and with a pale face, he headed straight for the lake. He seemed to see light in front of him, and he was only a foot away from the surface of the lake. However, behind him, there was a blade that was as fast as lightning, aiming for his weak spot. Take his life while he's weak. No! Jian Chou roared. His pockmarked face was distorted and ferocious, and extremely pale. He channeled his spiritual energy into the flying swords under his feet and shot straight for Lin Feng. Bang! Jian Chou was blasted out of the lake. Tragic. It was extremely tragic. In the savage level, Jian Chou was considered a slightly famous expert. Even someone as strong as Yi Sun couldn't do anything to him. Since he couldn't win, he stepped on the flying swords and ran away. When had he ever been so severely injured? The elemental armor on his body was shattered. Jian Chou endured the pain and stepped on the flying swords, slowly rising into the sky. He stood on the flying swords, and his body trembled. Run! He had to run. This Lin Feng was too terrifying. He had never felt so close to death. However, Jian Chou, who was at the end of his rope, had nowhere to run. Bang! Water splashed everywhere, and the extremely strong gravity that he had just escaped from appeared again. Jian Chou's internal organs felt as if they had collapsed. Behind him, 6 extremely powerful blade forces came fiercely. Thick flames roared, as if the entire lake had been ignited. Boom! Thud! Lin Feng landed on the shore. The black dragon battle saber in his hand exuded an intense killing intent. He looked at Jian Chou, who was not far away. His body was burned and he was already dead. However, the battle had only just begun. Jian Chou! A heart-wrenching voice seemed to come from the horizon. It came from a man wearing a red dragon-patterned armor. With each step, the heavens shook and the earth shook. He was like an otherworldly emperor. His speed wasn't fast, but each step was hair-raising. His appearance caused the entire space to tremble and the earth to crack. Yi Sun, Yi family's patriarch, the 4th shareholder of Huaxia's first bank. He was a high-level savage-level expert, but he had the strength of a sea king. He had mastered the heaven-ranked Heart Sutra, Boundless Mystic Art, and the heaven-ranked Fist Art, Boundless Yama Fist. Lin Feng, I want you to pay with your life. Yi Sun's aura instantly suppressed Lin Feng. Chapter 178. A high-level savage warrior. It wasn't easy to break through to the Sea King level. 4 ancient martial artists who had awakened the Earth Spirit, not only did they have to raise the Earth Spirit to the 5th stage, but they also had to break through the martial spirit. 3 flowers at one's prominence and 5 Chi's unification were legendary realms. The 3 flowers in a warrior's body were Spirit, Heroic Spirit, and Spirit Essence, which were located above the Run and Du meridians. As one's physique and meridians got stronger, it became harder to break through. However, it didn't mean that one's combat power couldn't be improved. In fact, there were many high-level Savage Realm experts who were not inferior to Sea King Realm experts in terms of strength. For example, Yi Fan, the strongest leader of the Elemental Merchant Alliance, and Yi Sun, the leader of the Yi family, had enough money to strengthen their equipment and had enough power to obtain Heart Sutra martial arts. Yi Sun was definitely the strongest opponent Lin Feng had ever met. Boundless Mysterious Art, 2nd stage. Yi Sun did not give Lin Feng the slightest chance. His anger soared to the heavens, and he had already used his trump card. The first level of the boundless mysterious art was still at the earth rank, and the second level of the boundless mysterious art was already at the 9th level of the heaven rank. A terrifying faceless king of hell appeared behind Yi Sun, and his aura was overwhelming. In a head-on battle, even Yi Fan had to avoid it. Boundless? Shatter. As they moved, the entire space shook. The heaven-level fist technique, Boundless King of Hell Fist, had 4 moves: tear, shatter, twist, and annihilate. As soon as he attacked, Yi Sun's strength exploded. Flaming Tree Silver Flower. Lin Feng didn't back down. In a long-distance battle, the Flaming Blade energy had the absolute advantage. 4 of the 6 flaming blades collided with the fist energy, while the other 2 attacked Yi Sun from the left and right. However, Lin Feng frowned and had a bad feeling. He quickly retreated. The 4 Flaming Tree Silver Flower energy couldn't block Yi Sun's punch. Boom! Lin Feng's chest tightened. Fortunately, he had 2 layers of defense, so it only broke a little. At this moment, the 2 flaming blade energies were directly hit by Yi Sun's fists. They were shattered. What a terrifying fist energy! Fist technique, peak of the 4th level. Lin Feng was secretly shocked. When it came to physical fitness, he, who was at the elementary level of the Savage Realm, was comparable to an elementary level of the Sea King Realm. Yi Sun was not inferior to him either. However, Yi Sun's fist techniques, mental and martial arts techniques, were all superior to his own. This included the level of the soul of the earth. It was not something he could compare to. My advantage is super heavy titanium domain. The 4th stage of the soul essence could contain even more titanium energy. Lin Feng was very clear that in a battle, he had to use his own advantages to attack the opponent's weak point. With the addition of spirit chi and the enhancement of titanium power, the genetic boots were strengthened. Facing Yi Sun, who possessed tyrannical offensive power, Lin Feng quickly adjusted his strategy and skillfully restrained his power. Even though he did not activate Heroic Soul, the 2 layers of amplification and the super heavy titanium domain's speed reduction in terms of speed, Lin Feng had the advantage. Moreover, Yi Sun was not good at movement technique. Sparks fly. Lin Feng used softness to overcome hardness. Although he was furious, Yi Sun remained calm. His many years of battle experience had given him even more experience. Facing Lin Feng, he won with skill. Yi Sun chose to stabilize his defense and deal with all changes by sticking to the status quo. Exhaustion. He was not afraid of exhaustion. This was because his spirit chi was far superior to Lin Feng's. Yi Sun was not good at movement technique. However, his fist technique, reaction, and defense were not weak at all. Lin Feng was much stronger than he had expected. It was no wonder that Jian Chou would be careless and lose Jing province. Yi Sun was shocked. His strength can be considered as one of the best among the high-level savage lands. This kid. What a terrifying cultivation speed. He's only 18 years old, but even in the entire ancient Huaxia. In ancient China, only Li Jixing of the Tang family and Zi Kuei of the dragon-killing island can be compared to him. Yi Sun was secretly shocked. His killing intent was thick. If he did not kill Lin Feng today, there would be endless trouble in the future. There were no flaws. Lin Feng benefited a lot from the battle with Yi Sun. Only when he truly fought with a strong opponent could he see his own weakness. The battle with Jian Chou made him realize his spirit chi and speed. The battle with Yi Sun made him realize the difference in strength. His once strongest saber technique realm and saber moves had now become a hindrance. If he did not advance, he would fall behind. Among the titanium element martial arts, he only knew the super heavy titanium domain, which was purely supportive. Facing Yi Sun's unbreakable defense and powerful fist force, Lin Feng knew clearly that it was impossible for him to truly defeat Yi Sun. Instead of exhausting his spirit chi, it was better to save some energy to escape. With this thought, Lin Feng's black dragon saber's attack became fiercer. Accumulating firewood fire. Gathering the strong titanium force, Lin Feng burst out his strongest attack. You are courting death. Yi Sun's cold eyes were burning. Boundless? Twisting. The third move of Boundless Yama Fist. Although the fist intent was not as perfect as the second move, it was a true Heaven Realm fist force. The spirit chi was released perfectly, and the extreme pressure burst out instantly. Although he only had time to perform the second level of Boundless Mysterious Art, the power was already strong enough. Boom. Saber against fist. Lin Feng's right hand instantly went numb. His chest felt like it was struck by lightning, and he flew backward with a pale face. The terrifying force broke through 2 layers of his defense. The sacred scale clothes shook violently, and his internal organs suffered a strong impact. He almost lost his grip on the black dragon saber. But, at least, the distance between them was pulled apart. Spirit Chi. Lin Feng endured his injuries and circulated his spirit chi. The flying sword beside Jian Chou buzzed and flew up in an instant. Ta! The moment Lin Feng landed, he stomped on the ground with his right foot and jumped on the flying sword with his strong physique. Whoosh! With the infusion of spirit chi, the flying sword broke through the air. Lin Feng flew across the lake. What? Yi Sun opened his eyes wide and was tongue-tied. He could not believe what was happening in front of him. Lin Feng, who was just fighting with him with spirit chi, was now flying away on a flying sword? What a joke! No! Yi Sun reacted abruptly and his face twisted. He hurriedly chased after Lin Feng, but in front of him was a huge lake. Looking at the speed of the flying sword, which was not inferior to Jian Chao's, Yi Sun was shocked and in despair. Such an enemy, not to mention his strength, the most annoying thing was, to catch him was harder than ascending to the heavens. Damn it! Yi Sun clenched his teeth and was extremely unwilling. But now, he had no way out. Lin Feng must be killed. Whoosh! Lin Feng stepped on the flying sword and his eyes flashed. He was lucky to have picked up a flying sword. The speed of flying on a sword depended on the spirit chi and the quality of the flying sword. Flying swords were different from battle sabers. A battle saber contained spirit chi, while a flying sword contained spirit chi. It was like a bamboo basket that could contain a basket of stones but could not contain 1/10 of water. At least grade A. Lin Feng knew a little about flying swords. Although his flying speed was not as fast as Jian Chou, it was about 30% faster than running at full speed. It was enough. Lin Feng headed towards the depths of Mount Hua. Although he did not win the battle with Yi Sun, he knew Yi Sun's strength. Next time, I will definitely win. Lin Feng's eyes were burning. He would not let the Yi family go. With that thought, suddenly, the sky, which was originally bright, was suddenly covered with dark clouds. It was getting darker and darker. Boom! Boom! Thunder roared and shook the heavens and the earth. The entire sky was pitch black in the blink of an eye, enveloping Mount Hua. Lin Feng exclaimed softly. He raised his head and looked up. Suddenly, a beam of light appeared like fireworks and shot into the night sky. There was a sudden change. Chapter 179. It was a ball of light. It lit up the night sky amidst the thunder and lightning. It was bright and had an amazing aura, like a white star. Even though it was so far away, one could feel its power. This is... Lin Feng was shocked. Holy treasure? This thought popped up in his mind. However, he rejected it immediately. When he was cultivating in the lake cave, he could feel violent earthquakes from time to time. They were getting stronger day by day and were much stronger than the earthquakes now. Whenever a holy treasure was born, there would be great changes. Although the sky was covered with dark clouds and thunder, the earth was shaking very slightly. No matter what, let's go and take a look. Lin Feng sped away. The area where the ball of light appeared was not far from him. It had not reached Mount Hua. Mount Hua. This is a holy treasure? Isun was stunned. Although he did not come for the holy treasure, he was also aware of the recent changes in the Qinling Mountains. However, he did not want to get involved in this dispute. After all, there were many Sea King-level experts participating in the battle. As far as he knew, even Zikuei, the young master of the dragon-killing island, was here. With his strength, it was better to be safe. But now, he did not expect the holy treasure to appear in front of him. It's close. Ha ha. Isun laughed and sped in the direction of the light spot. Although Lin Feng had escaped, it was a blessing in disguise. He was lucky enough to see the birth of the holy treasure. It's mine. Isun's eyes were burning. Wow. Holy treasure. Am I seeing things? Mount Hua. Everyone looked up at the sky in shock. No one expected the holy treasure to be born so suddenly. There was no sign at all. The only sign was the thunder and lightning in the night, which only lasted for a few minutes. Everyone's eyes were burning, but most of them were still rational. The light spot is very close to Mount Hua. There are high-level savage monsters there. If you are not strong enough, you will die. Don't think about it. Even if you are lucky enough to get the holy treasure. Without the support of the 5 tycoons, the Sea King grade powerhouses would want to kill you. Who among you can resist? Treasures arouse the envy of others. If you are not strong enough, you will have the holy treasure. He was just courting death. This battle for the sacred treasure was destined to be a battle between the great powers. In a battle between the Sea King-level experts, not to mention the martial venerables, even the savage-level experts, were just cannon fodder. Qinling Mountains. Zhongnan Mountains. A saint treasure has appeared? Yi Fan was stunned. Beside him, Han Fei was also staring at the crystal watch in a daze. The information from the Elemental Commerce Alliance was clear and unmistakable. The two of them looked at each other in a daze and then burst into laughter. It seems that the two of us are not fated with the holy treasure. Yi Fan shrugged. A large group of experts gathered at Taibai Mountain, the military, the dragon-killing island, the Qins, the Suns. We picked the inconspicuous Zhongnan Mountain and still lost the bet. Han Fei looked pleased. Is there a Sea King-level expert on Mount Hua? Yi Fan asked. Han Fei softly said, the Li family is betting on Mount Hua. The Li Tang clan was a super clan that had been passed down since ancient times. He held 80% of the shares of China's first bank. Oh, it's completely hopeless. Yi Fan laughed loudly. The holy treasure belongs to those who are fated to obtain it. Han Fei was also very carefree. Taibai Mountain. 3 of the 5 giants of ancient Huaxia were gathered there. Let's go to Mount Hua now. Hao Tiejuan's eyes were filled with determination and determination. Yes, Marshal, the major generals and lieutenant generals replied solemnly. The military was the most rigorous and disciplined. Fighter jets took off one after another. They headed straight for Mount Hua. All leaders and envoys of the Commerce Alliance, listen up. Go to Mount Hua now. Inform me immediately if you find the holy treasure, a bald man said in stiff Chinese. He spoke to the crystal watch in an unpleasant voice. His eyes were cold and his skin was dark. He didn't look strong, but every inch of his skin seemed to have been tempered thousands of times and was as hard as steel. The crystal watch in his hand flashed twice and formed a Sea King-level fighter jet. The Elemental Commerce Alliance. The only Sea King-level overlord. Brahmin? Manla. 1 told 10 and 10 told 100. Basically, all the major forces had some overlords in the 3 mountains. However, each force only had a few Sea King-level overlord. For example, Dragon Murder Island, one of the 5 giants, only had 1 Sea King-level overlord. The 8 major families only had 1 Sea King-level overlord each. Even the military only had 2, and one of them was in charge of the country's defense system and couldn't leave. It wasn't easy to train a Sea King-level overlord. Was it really the holy treasure? Lin Feng didn't know, but he was the closest to it. Over there? Lin Feng looked around. He was less than 5 miles away from Mount Hua. The shining spot fell after it broke through the sky. He couldn't pinpoint its exact location and could only look for it based on his impression. There were valleys, forests, and even cliffs everywhere. Lin Feng stepped on the flying sword and flew quickly. This is the area. It shouldn't be big. The light just now was the energy it emitted. Because of the close distance, Lin Feng's judgment was very clear. The flying sword left afterimages. Lin Feng landed on top of the cliff and looked down at the dark forest below. He could vaguely see a faint white light. There. Whoosh. Lin Feng was overjoyed and went straight down. Flying on the sword was very convenient and didn't need to consider the terrain. Otherwise, he would have to go down the cliff to find it. It was a race against time now. Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes flashed. As he approached quickly, the light became brighter and brighter. Lin Feng felt his heartbeat quicken. It was a fist-sized ball of light, emitting a white light. The power of thunder and lightning could be faintly seen in the ball of light. It was constantly surging, making the ball of light very mysterious. Pa! Lin Feng reached out and grabbed it. What a powerful energy! The moment he touched it, he could feel the surging energy in the ball of light. Hiss! The powerful energy flowed into his body through his palm. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. This is? Lin Feng. It was like a lion's roar. Lin Feng looked over. In the distance, Yi Sun's face was full of malevolence. His boundless mysterious art was madly activated, and he quickly broke through the air. There were some bloodstains on his body, as if he had just fought with a monster. However, his aura didn't decrease at all. His eyes were full of desire and anger, as if he wanted to swallow him into his stomach. You're late. Lin Feng smiled and put away the ball of light. Ignoring Yi Sun's murderous gaze, he poured spiritual power into the flying sword. In a split second, the flying sword turned 90 degrees and flew straight to the top of the cliff. Yi Sun's roar came from behind him, and he shook him off in an instant. Whoosh! Lin Feng flew to the top of the cliff. But in a split second Lin Feng was stunned. On the cliff, a young man with a handsome face and dressed in luxurious embroidered clothes was looking at him. On his face there was a playful smile. I have to go out for a while. The 4th chapter will be slightly delayed. Anyway, I can't run today. I'll finish it even if I don't sleep. Chapter 180. Hello, the young man waved with a smile. Hello. Lin Feng was a little dazed. He didn't know who this young man was, nor did he know what he was up to. The only thing he knew was, he was very strong. Unfathomably strong. Even if he was wearing a playboy's clothes and didn't emit any spirit energy, he couldn't see through him at all. He had a cynical smile on his face, but there wasn't any killing intent or hostility. You're lucky. The young man smiled and said, but, I think you need to run now. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled. Although he didn't understand what he meant, but, thank you. Lin Feng nodded and didn't stay any longer. His flying sword flashed and disappeared instantly. He looks unfamiliar. Huh! I forgot to ask for his name. The young man smiled and looked in the direction Lin Feng left. But I should know soon. Half a minute later. Boom! A figure with red dragon patterns appeared on the cliff. It was Yi Sun. The young man looked over and couldn't help but smile. You are. Yi Sun looked at the young man and suddenly widened his eyes. Li Jixing from the Li Tang family, Mr. Li? Chief Yi, long time no see, Li Jixing said with satisfaction. They both belonged to the first bank in Huaxia, so the Li Tang family and the Yi family had a close relationship. Good, good. Yi Sun grinned and nodded. He quickly asked, Mr. Li, have you seen Lin Feng? He's a young man flying on a sword. Is he about your age? Yes. Li Jixing nodded. Yi Sun's eyes lit up. So, Mr. Li, you Li Jixing from the Li Tang family and Zi Kuei from the dragon-killing island were the twin stars of ancient Huaxia. One was only 18 years old. The other was only 20 years old, but he was already a sea king. His talent was unparalleled. He's gone. Li Jixing pointed to the distance. Yi Sun was stunned and gritted his teeth. This kid is cunning. He knows how to protect himself. Li Jixing smiled. I didn't take anything from him. Yi Sun's eyes widened. Holy treasures are born in the face of disaster. Once the fortune has been decided, one should not have any thoughts of coveting it. Li Jixing's expression was indifferent. If it's yours, then it's yours. If it's not yours. Li Jixing smiled and flashed past Yi Sun's side. His figure was like a wisp of mist. If you try to take it by force, you'll only bring disaster upon yourself. His voice leisurely echoed in Yi Sun's ears. Yi Sun turned his head abruptly. They were like clouds and smoke, but Li Jixing was nowhere to be seen. Li Tang's Xiaoyao sect's secret art is unparalleled in Huaxia, but only Li Jixing complete comprehension of the top-grade heaven-ranked movement technique, wave-like subtle steps. Hua Mountain was a gathering of heroes. One by one, the experts swarmed in madly. Lin Feng was the only one who had left Mount Hua after obtaining the treasure. What a pity! Yi Sun saw it. Since he can't kill me, he'll definitely spread the news and use others as an excuse to snatch the treasure. Kill me! Lin Feng was very clear. He had long been incompatible with Yi Sun and the Yi family. Inform the Elemental Merchant Alliance? Lin Feng instantly had this idea in his mind. He pondered as he galloped. It's a mixed bag. I'll probably have to hand in the holy treasure. But no matter what, at least I have the protection of the Elemental Merchant Alliance. I'll be safe. You won't admit it. Lin Feng shook his head. His strength. He was vulnerable in front of a Sea King-level expert. Fight back and frame Yi Sun? Lin Feng's eyes lit up slightly. It was a good idea. Even if it couldn't harm Yi Sun, it could at least make him suffer. But that was all. After all, Yi Sun was in a high position and was a shareholder of the First Bank of Huaxia. He also had a close personal relationship with Dragon Killing Island. Rumors were far from enough to harm him. In the end, everyone's eyes would still be focused on him. It would also ruin the reputation of the Elemental Merchant Alliance. There was no need. Well, let's find a safe place to study this holy treasure first. Let's see how useful it is to me. Lin Feng made a decision. It was unwise to put himself in the teeth of the storm for a holy treasure that might not be a holy treasure. Lin Feng left Mount Hua. Taking advantage of the fact that no one knew him, he naturally slipped away. Let's go to Mount Taibai. It is also one of the 3 main mountain ranges of the Qinling Mountains and covers an area 10 times larger than Mount Hua. It was a training ground. It didn't matter where he went. At the junction of Mount Hua and Mount Taibai. It was extremely chaotic here. It was not that there were many elemental beasts, but that there were many types of elemental beasts and monsters. The difference in levels was huge. Although the Elemental Beast King dominated the area outside Mount Hua, there were often beginner savage monsters and even intermediate savage monsters. If the purpose was to hunt, this place was not suitable. Combined with the spirit energy resources of the 2 main mountain ranges, this location was more suitable for treasure hunting. There are few people here. Let's do it here. Lin Feng was very satisfied. The terrain here was open and there was a gurgling river. It was the best place to hide and escape. Looking around, Lin Feng jumped into the river without hesitation. Having escaped several times, Lin Feng had an inexplicable sense of familiarity with rivers and lakes. Digging the river again, destroying the river passage along the way, Lin Feng was very careful. But the capsule alloy house was completed. Lin Feng entered it and finally breathed a sigh of relief. No matter what happened in the future, at least for now, he was very safe. Holy treasure? Lin Feng finally took out the light bead. In an instant it lit up the entire capsule alloy house. In the fighter jet flying to Mount Hua. Beep! A message sounded. Marshal Hao Tiejuan's eyes lit up. It was a short and clear message. The holy treasure was obtained by Lin Feng. Dragon Killing Island, Sea King class fighter jet. Swoosh! Zikuei opened his eyes. His devilish face was extremely handsome, but there was a kind of sharpness that penetrated one's heart. Like a soft bone needle, it shot straight at the tiger leopard man standing in front of him. Young master, the holy treasure was obtained by Lin Feng. Xing Meng's voice was like a bell. Lin Feng. Zikuei's delicate voice was difficult to distinguish between a man and a woman. He sneered. Which force is he from? The new Elemental Merchant Alliance. The Elemental Merchant Alliance. The leaders of the 9 major merchant alliances were all present. On the screen, 9 images showed 9 video projections, initiating a group meeting in an independent virtual space. Is the news true? The Lin Merchant Alliance has not been contacted yet. We can't rule out the possibility that Yi Sun is a thief pretending to be a thief. I think it's not far from the truth. Lin Feng should be hiding. I wonder what kind of holy treasure it is. Is it a weapon, herb, or energy type? I think the Lin Merchant Alliance is too impulsive. He can seek protection from the Merchant Alliance and focus on the big picture. The Merchant Alliance will not treat him badly. Although he is not the leader of the Merchant Alliance, he has a promising future. After our vote, he may be able to use the holy treasure for himself. Yes, even if the Merchant Alliance expropriates the holy treasure, they will compensate it for the same value and give the holy treasure to the most suitable expert. In the midst of the discussion, suddenly another video projection was added into the mix. The 10th person, the Sea King level expert worshipped by the Elemental Merchant Alliance, Brahman Manla. You. Manla's eyes were cold. He said in stiff Chinese, "Listen, immediately ask the Merchant Alliance representative to hand over the holy treasure. He doesn't deserve it. I, Manla, am the only Sea King level expert in the Merchant Alliance. Only when I am strong can I protect you." His voice suddenly stopped. The video projection was cut off. Manla's tone was tough and rude. Chapter 181. Capsule Alloy House. Energy. Lin Feng held the lightning bead in his hand as his eyes flickered. The moment he touched it, he could already feel the lightning bead's tyrannical energy surging into his body, condensing into 3 streams of light. One was directed to the soul of the earth in his dantian, one was directed to the soul of the earth in his sea of consciousness, and the last one was directed to his brain. This time it was even clearer. What powerful energy! Lin Feng's heartbeat quickened. It was an unknown energy that could be absorbed by the soul of the earth like spirit qi. It could also be absorbed by the soul of the earth like spirit qi. As for the stream of energy that surged into his brain, it was like opening up a new world. It left him astounded. It was even faster than the absorption of the soul of the earth and soul of the talent. My brain expanse. Lin Feng was a little dumbfounded. He knew very little about holy treasures. It was only limited to what Island Lord Jiang had introduced. There were weapon-type holy treasures, herb-type holy treasures, and the battle armor he was wearing. But what category did this lightning bead belong to? There was no need to doubt it. Lin Feng was very sure that this lightning bead was most likely a holy treasure. Perhaps it didn't cause too much of a commotion when it was unearthed, but its effects were breathtaking. But Lin Feng held up the lightning bead with both hands. Instantly, his pupils contracted. 3 streams of light penetrated his left hand and flowed into his body through different meridians. However, their destination didn't change. Lin Feng was astonished. The 3 streams of light transformed into 6 streams. He could clearly see the improvement of the soul of the earth and soul of the talent. Spirit Qi and Spirit Qi were constantly being released to temper his body. His brain expanse was also rapidly increasing. Good stuff. Lin Feng smiled. It was truly a case of extreme misfortune turning into bliss. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour. Lin Feng held the lightning bead with both hands and looked at the energy in the lightning bead. He didn't see any decrease. Continue. Lin Feng was very satisfied. The more energy there was, the better. This feeling was great. His strength was increasing with every passing moment. In the 3rd hour, Lin Feng finally felt that the energy of the lightning bead was decreasing bit by bit. 6 hours. 10 hours. Reduce it by about 10%. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. At this point, nearly 17 hours had passed. In other words, about 7 days. Lin Feng was not disappointed. Other than surprise and shock, there were no other emotions. 7 days. What a terrifying 7 days. I don't know about my mind expanse, but my innate soul has increased by 30%. Soul of the earth, increase by about 3%. There was a difference. Actually, it wasn't much. This was because the innate soul was at the 3rd stage, while the soul of the earth was at the 4th stage. Even in the mausoleum of the Qin dynasty's emperor, the relic's energy was not as fast as this. Lin Feng sighed. Back then, he had absorbed the soul of the great earth for 3 consecutive days, but his 3rd stage soul of the great earth only increased by 10%. After that, the energy of the ruins became extremely thin, and the efficiency was greatly reduced. Not to mention the West Lake world. Now, in just 17 hours, the 3rd stage of the innate soul had increased by more than 30%. Furthermore, the absorption of the lightning bead's energy was maintained at a constant rate. If nothing goes wrong, the innate soul will transform and increase in 3 days. Lin Feng smiled. Previously, he was still worried about the lightning bead. But now, he was certain that it was worth the risk. The lightning bead's increase in strength was more than just terrifying. 4th stage of spiritual energy body tempering. TSK. Regarding spiritual energy, he was still unable to make good use of it. But at the very least, spiritual energy body tempering made his ancient martial artist strength much stronger, especially at the 4th stage. It was much better than the 3rd stage. Although the effect of spiritual energy body tempering was not as good as spirit chi, compared to other ancient martial artists, his foundation was there. Even a 20% to 30% increase was a qualitative leap. Needless to say, the 4th stage of spiritual energy would increase by at least 50%. And with the increase in the innate soul, his perception of the surrounding environment would be clearer, and his mind would be sharper. Even his understanding would be more thorough. Spiritual energy could greatly enhance the cultivation of a gene warrior and expand the brain. Lin Feng. He was definitely the most discussed name in the entire Huashan. Heroes gathered. The military, dragon-killing island. The Li Tangs, the elemental merchant alliance. Except for the Zhen Wu dojo, the 5 giants were all here. The birth of the holy treasure caused a huge sensation, including the other 3 dojos. Powerhouses from the 8 big families also came. The small Huashan was full of people. The savage level monsters and even the Sea King level monsters were so scared that they hid. Manla, you're having a great time. You got a holy treasure for free. It's good to rely on the Elemental Merchant Alliance. The 2 Sea King level powerhouses echoed each other with smiles on their faces. How could they not know the inside story? Sure enough, Manla's face was livid and extremely ugly. He had waited for 3 days, but there was no news from Lin Feng. He was unhappy. He was a Sea King level powerhouse. He lowered himself to protect the Elemental Merchant Alliance, but he didn't even get the respect he deserved. Even a small Merchant Alliance envoy didn't take him seriously. Humph. Manla snorted coldly and didn't answer. More and more powerhouses gathered on Huashan. Because the earthquake did not stop, but intensified. What did this mean? The holy treasure had not really been born. People believed that what Lin Feng got was only one of the holy treasures, or not. They were more looking forward to the next holy treasure falling into their hands. But no one knew what the real holy treasure was, including Lin Feng. So far, it was still confusing. It was the 4th day of absorption. At this time, Lin Feng was undergoing the spiritual power. From the 3rd stage to the 4th stage, the transformation of the soul of talent brought changes to the spiritual power. The soul of talent in the sea of consciousness was not what it used to be. It turned into a shining ball of light, rotating like a star, an invisible and colorless spiritual power condensed around it. Compared to the improvement of the body, the spiritual power had the greatest impact on the brain. The brain was clear and free, as if the potential was unlocked. The retentive memory of what he saw and the clear memory of what he heard was like a super brain increasing its operation speed. The stronger the super brain, the stronger the calculation and analysis ability. The same was true for the soul of talent. The control of spiritual power, eruption, and condensation. The spiritual power strengthened the body. The energy of the lightning bead in Lin Feng's hand had been consumed by more than half. He felt the energy in his hands coming from the meridians. Strength. Is the energy of the lightning bead absorbed by the opening of the Ren and Du meridians? If the center is added, will the absorption speed be faster? Lin Feng was curious. Then, he put the lightning bead near the center of the meridians. Little by little, there was a momentary touch. Suddenly, sizzle, sizzle. The tiny lightning in the lightning bead was suddenly stimulated and became active. Lin Feng's heart tightened. In an instant, he felt a different kind of energy rushing into his body from the center of the meridians. The power of lightning. Lin Feng couldn't help but grit his teeth. His body trembled violently. Numb. The terrifying power of lightning instantly spread throughout his body. As a man, Xiao Xiao has finally become a hero. Well, it's only the 1st day. Let's continue. To be continued.